You're listening to the Wolverine and the Warthog, Chronicles of the Wild podcast. Two hunters from opposite ends of the earth, united by instinct, driven by the wild. These are our stories. To make sure you don't squeak on
I'll
air.
probably squeak on mine, dude.
Yeah.
It's like fuck that scene out of Step Brothers when he's about to sing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so fucking nervous right now.
This needs to be in there.
Yeah.
I've been called the songbird of my generation
Yeah.
from people that have heard me. I can't, man. I gotta have the little dome, dude.
And you can bring that. I know I gotta have the dome too. I don't like the flat ones, but
Isn't
just
this
bring
like
them.
Bo Brooks?
Yeah. Those are the ones that he uses for sure.
Hey, start us out. We're missing all the good stuff here.
Oh, okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2. We'll remember at about 5 minutes.
I'm just gonna set this here.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Wolverine and the Warthog. We are very excited to have the very famous Hunter Enloe back on the podcast. Well, slightly famous, locally famous Hunter Enloe. No, Hunter, you guys probably remember we had him on the podcast probably a couple months ago, maybe
Yeah, it
something
was
like
right before
that.
turkey season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right before turkey season. And he kind of expressed his love for calling and communicating with wildlife. And so we asked him to come on as a guest as part of our September is Coming series. This will be number 2 on the elk portion of things. We kind of talked about the history of elk in the Gunnison Basin with Brad Phelps last week and kind of some of his stories. But today we really want to dive into calling, which is something that I really like to do as well.
Yeah.
Andy would like to do it if he could hear, but he can't. So,
Yeah, so you can get some can't hear anything tactics for me.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly,
introduction.
which
I'm
is-
including all that, by the way. That was
Oh yeah.
that's going in.
That's going in. All right, good. That's fine. I won't cut that out. Yeah. We've got some cool calls from Gene Taylor. So Gene Taylor started carrying these Riven Calls, which we have never, Hunter or I or Andy have never even tried out.
Yeah.
Seen him advertised on, social media. I know that Bo Brooks, which is he's a calling champ. He
Dude, yeah.
uses this stuff. And so Gene Taylor's is the first year they've offered it. They've had Supremo stuff, and I don't think they've ever really had Phelps in, but they got in these Riven Calls. They got a full lineup of bite and blows. I mean, they got probably four or five bite and blows, a bunch of reeds. They've got the carbon fiber tube, which we have tonight. They do offer a wooden tube, which is pretty cool. I can't even remember what it was made of. It's like white oak
don't
or
know,
something.
yeah.
I don't know.
Hey,
Anyways,
I
It's
want
pretty.
one, dude. I want one
I-
with because they do that design in it. I would love one with like just like the Blue Mesa or the Gunnison River on it. You know how cool that would be, dude?
yeah. So they do like engraving on.
I think so,
okay.
man. I think.
Yeah.
I may be wrong.
So yeah, this is the carbon fiber Riven right here, and it's a big loud tube. I imagine we haven't tried anything out yet, but
That wooden one does look great. First time I saw that, I was like, ooh,
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
that's
just,
nice.
man-
Except it's like, I'm going to break that on the first tree.
I
Dude,
know,
I
know.
That thing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's probably worth it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've heard videos of Bo calling with him with that one and just the wooden one, and it just sounds like
There is
so
some
crisp.
earthy
Yeah.
tone to that wood, I think.
For sure.
It might resonate better out of the carbon, but the wood did have that kind of earthy tone.
Yeah.
That I was like,
It just sounds like flat and like crisp.
yeah,
You know?
exactly.
You don't get that like plasticky,
yeah.
totally.
you know?
I mean, the same reason they're using wooden box calls for the last 300 years. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like just works,
works.
and it offers kind of that natural tone to it too. But yeah, if you
That
guys can
thing's
see
sweet,
that,
dude.
on camera, it's yeah.
So
It's
we
a
don't
good
have to
looking
be
tube.
totally specific to elk. We're going to cover primarily elk stuff. But
Yeah.
We might touch on just a hair of whitetail call in later on
Yeah.
if we get into that.
And Hunter is also a fantastic spot and stock deer hunter, so this could be both. But and Remember, I asked him the question last time what he'd rather hunt, and he said turkeys. So, so we're not gonna. I'm not gonna ask that
just
again.
like yelp through this.
Yeah,
feed,
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there's so we got a domed riven. I can't remember what that one was called, trimmer, and this one's called the stratum that we've got here. So we got two different options. But yeah, if you guys want to go check them out after this, go to Gene Taylor's, and pretty excited to try those out.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
So probably, I mean, one of these main questions that I feel like is, are you a bugler or not a bugler? Because there's guys typically go one of two ways.
Man, yeah, I definitely am. I tend to like work my way into them with cow calls.
Totally.
And then I'm killing that bull with a bugle most of the time, is what it seems like. I mean, honestly, man, the last 3 bulls I've killed calling, I did 1 bugle. And I think where a lot of guys, man, like mess up or think that I'm doing anyway is just like I'm running around just like ripping bugles every 100 yards, 200 yards, and I call a lot, and it's like, and sometimes I am doing that, just depending on what sign I'm in and what type of country I'm in.
What the situation is.
It's like, if I'm in good sign and I know there's elk there, I may call a lot just because I know they're there.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of works the other way too when I don't know they're there. I feel like I call a lot. But typically, man, it's like I'm doing most of the spot and stalk stuff that most guys are doing and not calling a lot. And then I'm slipping into that herd and calling very, very little to kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 3 bulls I killed, man, was just, like I said, with 1 bugle. And that's like taking hours to get inside the herd.
Totally.
And
well, let's go into one of those. Go into one of those 3, kind of explain the situation, what time of year, and how you ended up slipping in there and killing one of those.
Yeah, well, I killed, my biggest bull ever was 2 years ago, and that was an over-the-counter unit. And that bull was like 315, 320, not a giant, but for over-the-counter, it's
nice
sweet bull.
Yeah.
Man, and honestly, I watched him for 2 days before I even made a move on him. They were way up above tree line. And this really is like, you hear guys say it, it's 10, 15 miles back. Like this spot, that basin is 11 miles from the truck. It's like one of the, and you guys know, for around here, it's about one of the most remote places you can get in. And to go out the backside is like 8 miles to the next town. But anyway, so I'm back there. I watched this herd for 2 days, and I can just see this just sick bull, man. And he's got probably 15, 18 cows.
And this is early in the year?
No, this is late season. So this is probably middle of September.
Okay.
I think I killed that bull maybe on the 18th.
Two-thirds of the way through season or so.
Yeah, I think I killed him on the 18th.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. But had a ton of cows, man, and doing ruddy stuff up there, pushing them around, doing everything. But it's crazy in this basin, there's bighorn sheep in there. And these elk were literally above the sheep, like where they hang out. There's a cliff band in the middle of the basin, and there's sheep always in that, and like big rams. But it's like nice grass and like alpine stuff above this cliff band, and those elk are always up there. It's a spot, man. My dad's hunted this spot since like the early 90s. And he's killed bulls in there. It's just like a small little basin, but there's always a bull in there.
True.
You know, it's like a cool spot. It's kind of got some history in there, you know. But watching this bull, and what I need him to do, man, is like get down into the basin, because I really can't hunt them up there. There's no cover. Like they literally just bed out in the open.
Yeah.
Like just in this grass this tall.
Because it's
we've
still
seen
cool
bulls
up there.
do that in some of the country that you guide in too, right?
For
There's
sure.
some bulls that get old because of that strategy.
Yep. Just get their cows out in the wide open and just lay there and just pant like a dog because they're just getting baked by the sun, you know.
Yeah.
But eventually I woke up the second morning I was in there, and I didn't see him. And usually that means I can't see the actual bottom of the basin, like where the creek is.
Yeah.
And that usually means they're just down in there. But I'm watching them from like 3 miles away. And it's like the top of the pass where I'm watching them. And so I see that, and I just make my move in there, pack up my camp, and I'm basically just going to go to that basin and I'm going to try to get there before dark. It's getting kind of late. So I climb up into the basin, and when I climb up into the basin, man, I look, and it's like spitting rain, nasty weather, and I'm just like playing it super slow. I'm just like not wanting to obviously blow them out, because I'm like, dude, nobody's ever in there. It's like I had 5-6 days worth of food. Like I've got time to hunt this bull. But it just worked out perfectly. I look up there, and they're bedded in these little jack pines. And I remember with that weather, man, it's kind of middle of the day. With that weather, the thermals are pushing like down the basin. So I like had the thermals perfect.
Yeah.
So I sit there for a while, and he gets up and starts getting his cows up, and just starts hitting, just nosing them, getting his cows up. And they start working out into the basin, and like the middle of this basin's just like grass, like this tall. There's really just one little section of jack pines, just like maybe 10 of them that they were bedded in. And the rest of it's just wide open, just grass this tall, creek runs through it, just beautiful stuff, but hard to hunt, And so anyway, dude, I'm creeping up this wood line to him, and I get like probably 90 yards from him, and he's pushing his cows around kind of in the basin. And I remember his cows starting to line out, and they start to line out to go back up there to that high alpine spot where they're always at. And there's just trails leading up there, man, like crazy. And they start lining out to go up there. And I'm kind of like, it was probably like getting a little too pushy. I kind of got in there with them, and I like kind of didn't want to slow down, which I should have. I probably should have waited, but I ended up killing them. But like, I was just like, man, this is not a terrible time. He's kind of lagging behind, just like feeding, and his cows are probably 200 or 300, well, I wouldn't say 150 yards up the hill. And so there's just some little rollers though in this middle of this basin, like some terrain to work, And so I'm like I creep out into this field with him, and it's just wide open, dude. It's so sick. It was one of the sickest call-ins I've ever had.
That's so cool.
So I'm just in the wide open with him, and I'm creeping out through the wide open, and a cow spots me up there. And she turns and like rolls a couple rocks, like didn't run, but just turned to look at me, and she rolls some rocks down that like got everything alert.
Yeah.
But he's just looking at them, and I'm like 120 yards behind him probably. And so I just turn, because she's done caught me. I'm like, I'm just gonna bugle and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I just turn like this, and I'm like literally just standing in a grass this tall, wide open to the bull. And I just turn and bugle, just like I'm, facing it away from me. And dude, thing just
didn't even think about it.
No, he turns,
eyes roll in the back of his head.
He bugles back at me, and he's just stepping to me, just like I'm another bull standing there. And I'm just like in the wide open grass, just like, oh my God, dude, like there's no way this works. He walks all the way to 20 yards, dude, wide open. I'm standing wide open, watches me draw, didn't care. Like, just was pissed that there was another bull there. Walks 20 yards of me, I just shoot him frontal, and he runs out in the middle of the basin and dies. Just like,
how
what?
Crazy.
Just like, but then, man, I think, it's just like, they get so googly-eyed and just
I was
like,
gonna say,
they
like,
get in such a trance,
when
dude.
when their eyes like roll back into the back of their head like that, when they're mad, there's nothing stopping them from coming. You know what I mean? Usually the cows are the ones that stop it, and she's probably trying to yell at him from up on the base and be like, "You idiot!
Did you not see that guy?"
Exactly.
Sometimes that can work to your advantage. It's almost like sometimes that creates like a distraction, because elk are like that. It's not like, sometimes obviously when they alert the whole herd. There's also times in the woods, right, where one elk busts and the others don't know what's going on. Sometimes the bulls can just get into this like, well, there's another elk. Like, they don't know if it's another elk or hunter, or if unless they balked, and that is pretty wild, though.
Yeah, they like calm each other down, I feel like, a lot of times, where it's like, hey, you didn't see that.
Or
especially I've noticed it with
get away with, like they get spooked and then they're like, oh, it's Fiona that's being an idiot again, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't see any danger, right? And then you can really get away with some stuff where they're like, we already checked, it's fine.
Yeah, and like you said, there's kind of comfort in numbers. Like, once you get inside of where a predator should be on a herd, they kind of let a lot of stuff go. Once you like
break
cross
that little barrier
threshold, it's like they definitely feel a little bit more comfortable, and they're hearing elk noises because they hear elk noises all the time,
dude.
right?
They're like turkeys, man. You get in close to those herds, they're all the time. You're just hearing stuff that you wouldn't, if you're not 60 yards from them, you don't hear it.
Right.
It's just meow.
Yeah, just constant. Yeah.
And that's where too, like, guys think you can overcall, but sometimes I don't think you can. And even in the turkey world, it's like that. Like, there's just, like, they make noise, dude.
And that's what I tell people. Like, you don't, there are situations where you probably shouldn't call, but for the most part, elk make elk noises. They make them all different times of year, right? Like, I've seen elk bugling in November where it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I heard one in June on Blue Mesa up across, like, Godden, just bugling up there, like not just like like raspy, like ruddy bugles.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what he's doing, but he's up there bugling in
He's testing out his reads, seeing if they work out.
I've heard that happen as well. Let's explore the idea a little bit, just because there's going to be people listening that it is difficult to quantify, right? Because it's like there's almost two ends of the spectrum on both of it. You can make a really good sounding cow call or bugle and it be correct, and you can make an awful sound and it works, right? And then there's also, we're saying you can't overcall, but you also definitely can overcall, right? So let's dive into that a little bit, right? It is circumstantial to some degree, right? There's times when you can get away with stuff and there's times you can't. What are those? Right? What do you I mean
basically
you can't just go wandering around calling like someone that might be listening to this, or someone who's a hunted elk, or mistakes I've made myself.
Because there's a dialect, right? Like they're speaking to each other. There's something being said in that moment,
there's a place,
right?
There's a tone.
So you bugling, you've now threatened his cows. Like in that situation, you are another bull threatening his cows. So that is the challenge. Like he's like, but he either has two options, right? He either takes his cows and he's like, I don't want to fight that guy, and he runs and takes, which I've had that happen to me before for sure. You know.
Well, and to me, man, the bigger bulls, the bigger older bulls are more susceptible to doing what he did, like at that hunt I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'll whoop whoever comes up here.
Yeah.
You're a little skimpy little, you know, 5x5 that's just finally got some cows. He's like, I'm getting out of here, dude. I'm pushing them away. I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
I just got these girls.
Dude, But in that basin, man, there's not a lot of elk there. Or in that whole area, that's usually just like that basin has them. And it's a beautiful valley. There's timber everywhere, but it's just like that basin always just has one herd in it. And so I think too, he's just like doesn't hear or see a lot of other bulls.
Or hunters. I mean, hunters. Yeah, he's like,
and I think that's something I do, man. In my way I hunt is like I do go way deeper than I need to go. Because I like interacting and calling with them, and I like watching elk act like elk and not like scared, you know, just like call shy. I like, you know, I'm sure I could go a couple miles in or off the road and kill a bull, but I would rather go 5 to 10, 12 miles and have elk act like elk and cater to my style of hunting. You know what I mean?
Totally. And that's a factor too, is like how you want to hunt elk, right? I mean, like I'm like you were. I love spot and stalking stuff, but I don't necessarily want to spot and stalk my elk because I do love that interaction. I will in the right scenario, but that's the part that I really enjoy about elk hunting.
Same, man. I'm the same way. It's like, it's like I was telling you guys about turkeys. Like I don't ever just walk up and shoot one. You know, I get the chance to. I ain't never just open. And the same way with coyotes, dude. I get guys that message me about, oh, how many did you kill? I know we'll dive into many different things, but they're like, how many did you shoot from the road? Dude, I ain't killed a coyote from the road. And I literally, since I lived in Nebraska when I was like 11 or 12 years old, like I'm talking like, you know, jump out, like see one running. I don't do that, man. I mark it on Onyx and I come back a week later and call them in.
And then you probably kill more at that point once you get in there.
Like I like having an experience with stuff, you know. But I think going into like overcalling not calling enough, I think it's obviously all super situational. I think with overcalling, man, I just think like you guys have been in it. Like you get in the rut fest, dude, you can't call enough.
Totally.
And I think personally, man, I've started those rut fest.
You
go into a basin, you're not hearing a peep. It's like good. You know there's elk there. You're not hearing a single thing, and you let out one locator bugle, and next thing you know, dude, it's 4 or 5 bulls going off. You're hearing fights go off. It's like you almost start the party.
You do,
You know, and I think guys mess up on that because they're timid to call. You know, and it's like, you gotta, you know, sometimes, and that don't happen every time, but it happens quite a bit, dude, where it's like pure silence, and then all of a sudden there's like, okay, we'll go to that bull. If we mess that one up, we'll go to this one. It's just like,
and same with the cows too, you know, like getting a rut. I mean, that's what really sparks it, right? You cow call a couple times, and you start getting all those cows to start calling. Then it's like the bull just gets into a frenzy, like he just can't help himself, right? He's just gonna start bugling because he can't help it.
We've definitely killed some bulls where we actually called the cows. We didn't. We didn't threaten the bull. But he just couldn't help himself. It's almost like curiosity killed the cat a little bit. But it's like once the cows were intrigued enough to come in, you know, it's like he doesn't want them there.
Yeah.
But he's not going to leave them either, and then
Totally.
ends up slipping up. So it is circumstantial for sure, and there's a bit of read the room that occurs. So you can definitely start something that happens. And I've also made the mistake of like getting into a rut fest, getting a little excited, throwing something out,
Yeah.
and killing the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's what I was.
You know, maybe just totally the wrong call at the wrong time from the wrong place. So, yeah, it's a complicated topic, right?
It is, man. And the rut fest is like there's so much noise going on. You don't have to call.
Yeah.
You can just keep hearing him
You
bugling
know-
and just sneak your way into him.
Exactly,
Or you do call, you know. But I think sometimes when you're in those rut fest, it's probably better not to.
And that's my.
When you have multiple bulls going, and if you're not super picky, and you just want to kill a nice bull, and there's
Yeah.
3 or 4 in there, and it's like, okay, well, let's try to just slip up on him. He's going off. Let's try to slip up. If we blow it out, we'll go to him. And like you just work your way around the basin to the bulls. But yeah, I think you're in that rut fest, man. Sometimes it might be, you know, even though if you started the rut fest, it might be better off for you to just kind of
Shut
creep around and
Yeah.
like go to him bugling, because you got to imagine what's going on down there. I mean, when you're in it and you're hearing sticks break and they're running cows around, like you can about just walk up to
Yeah.
them. You know, when it's like, I mean, not
When
really,
they're that
but
comfortable.
when they're
sometimes
going,
you should. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes people could be way more aggressive than they realize.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Literally, you could just
Especially on elk.
yeah.
Elk aren't quite as flighty as some of the smaller game. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously still flighty, but they'll put up with because they make a lot of noise, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
they put up with a lot more noise than an antelope or a deer would.
Yep.
They're not as susceptible to like ground predators like deer and
The
antelope.
other thing that's a factor, which we should mention if it's not obvious to some people, right, is that you also got where the elk are and how they are. So it could be, you know, obviously private elk are one thing, really limited entry elk are another thing. Temperature and condition is another thing. And then the herd structure is another thing that affects how vocal they are and how responsive they are to it, from my experience, having seen some of that. We've got some pretty coal shy elk here that get a lot of exposure to a lot of hunting pressure. They've definitely adapted. There's no doubt about it. They're rutting at slightly different times. I think where they're hearing noises and what they'll tolerate is they're pretty sensitive to compared to, you know, your really remote elk. And then the other is kind of a structure of the herd structure itself that kicks off some of the instinct. Because if you get into and the example I'll give is, for example, like, let's say you go to one of Colorado's better units with bigger herds where you might have 70 to 80 cows, right? And then you've got a herd bull and you might have 3 or 4 satellite bulls and a couple of spikes, right? There's a lot going on in that dynamic. Then you go to some of these other places, right, where for some reason the herd structure has broken down to more like 6 to 12 cows and 1 bull. And that herd acts completely differently and will respond to calling completely differently, right, than a big herd
Absolutely,
with
yeah.
multiple bulls that are a factor.
Yeah.
Your strategy has to change when that's the case,
Yep.
and it can be very tricky. I think the smaller
with the smaller herds.
I mean, they've depends. Sometimes it can play in your favor, right? But it's definitely a factor. You've got some experience with some of that. What is some of your strategy in these areas where you're getting these smaller groups of cows, right? You know what I'm talking about. There's like 8, maybe 15 tops, and there's probably 1 bull. And if there's a satellite bull, it's not a pestering bull.
Right.
It's not like it's not like he's in there. They're almost like there's 10 here and there's 10 there, and they know each other are there, but they're not kind of competing with each other. So how do you approach something like that?
Man, honestly, I mean, that's a lot of I feel like the elk that I'm hunting too, because I'm hunting over the counter or 1-point tag units. And I feel like that's a lot of the elk that I'm hunting, man, is those smaller herds.
Yeah.
Which I do great with, like sitting back and I'm deeper in there. So a lot of times I don't have to worry about a lot of guys, and sitting back and waiting for the right moment to go in there and call them in, I think is key. And I think me personally with those smaller herds, way easier to call in.
Oh, really?
In my opinion.
Okay.
Just because, man, I think when you've got that many elk, if you've got 70 or 80 cows and you've got 5 or 6 to 8, 10 satellite bulls, they're hearing a lot of stuff. They're hearing a lot of bugles. They're used to dealing with that satellite bull. They're like, he's not going to do one thing. I ain't got to worry about it. But when you've got a group of 12 elk and you've got 1 herd bull that they haven't seen another elk maybe in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
another herd. And then you roll in there like you're some big bad bull wanting to take his cows. I think it triggers something like, hey, dude, like, I'm coming to fight you. Like,
Because
I've
he
had
hasn't
these
heard
cows.
a bugle besides himself.
Right, exactly.
In
Well, how do
weeks.
you stop the flight response, right? Because lots of these bulls in these areas prefer to
Leave.
take their cows away as
Yep.
opposed to challenge.
Man, it's getting in tight to them.
Yeah.
And I think, man, that's just, I mean, I've blown out herds doing that. Like last year on my elk, man, I went to that same basin I was just telling you about where I killed that bull. It's 11 miles in, and tried to do the same thing and blew him out. And that's the only elk in there. So what I do, turn around literally that night, hike 11 miles out of there, hiked through the night, 8 miles into another basin, and I killed the bull that next morning in there.
Killed
But
a different bull?
a different bull
Yeah,
in a
okay.
different basin,
Yeah.
because I was the only elk in that spot.
Yeah.
But it came close. I was 70 yards of that bull, but kind of on a tangent, the cows worked up above me and the thermal switch, and the cows smelled me before I could bugle. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, dude, you need to call. Like, you're in the bubble.
Yeah.
And the cows literally, dude, they're 12 yards to 70 yards, around me, in a bigger group of elk. I'm like, dude, you need to bugle before this blows up. Like, you're not going to be able to stand here long enough, because one of these cows is going to pick me out, smell me, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And I didn't bugle, and the whole herd blows out. And I feel like, man, if I'd have let one bugle out, he was
would've
way
just-
behind the cows, dude. He was like 100 yards behind the cows, like not right with them, feeding. But he was super ruddy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it was perfect for me to bugle. Like, I'm right in between him and his cows.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
and
the
I didn't.
exact situation that you dream of. Is like
and I
getting-
didn't. I'm standing there being like, man, should I call? Should I not? And I'm like, I should just stick to my gut and do what I did last year. And he's going to roll up
Exactly.
here, and I'm going to shoot him frontal at 15 yards probably. He's
Yeah.
all pissed, and maybe not.
Yeah.
But I was so in there tight, he had no option to push him. If he
Yeah.
come up to push him, he was going to walk 30 yards by me.
Yeah, so that's probably a mistake for sure I have made in my elk endeavors, is probably this game of kind of knowing how people are calling, knowing the sounds, but trying to approach it from too far away.
Yeah.
Trying to like
You got to be in
work
that
my
bubble.
way into that bubble, as you call it, as opposed to being in the bubble before you start. So that's definitely a
Because then they know you're
It's
there
kinda
the
like
whole
give 'em
time.
no choice.
Exactly.
And I've made a lot of mistakes where I've basically given them an exit and they will take the exit.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Almost
think
every
that's where
time.
overcalling messes you up, because, dude, they want to respond, and you're bugling, and they bugle back, and you bugle, and he bugles back, but the whole time he's just pushing his cows further
Yeah.
away. And it's fun to do. And I think that's where guys get messed up, and
I know,
I've
you
done it a
you
bunch.
get caught up in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, because you want to hear him bugle, and you're like, man, I sound good, because he's cutting me off,
Yeah.
but the whole time he's pushing.
And he's too far away.
What I do, man, I'm like, I locate him, and I don't say a peep
I was gonna
until
say,
I'm in there.
Like,
you
he
know?
is basically just giving up his location at that point, especially if you don't even have to locate bugle, right? If he's just going to bugle on his own, that's when, like, because like we talked about, love to call. But if he's just going to be like, hey, I'm here, I'm taking that opportunity, right? Every time that he calls as I'm approaching. And so if I get into a situation where I'm maybe 300 or 400 yards from him, or 250, and I can't see him and I don't know where he's at and he's not bugling, that's when I'll throw another locator, because I want to get tight without blowing them out, right? Like, I want him to make that noise again.
Yep. And that's where sometimes, I don't bugle.
Yeah.
If I'm in there where I'm like, man, I feel like he's close, and I hunt him in dark timber where the wind's super swirly,
Yeah.
and it's like, if I'm in there tight and I don't want to feel, if I feel like I'm like more than 200 yards from him, I'm probably not going to bugle. I'm probably just going to like maybe light cow call to see if he'll just
You're
let
right.
me know where he's at. And then I'm going to take maybe an hour or two to get into sub 100 yards and then hit him with a bugle.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just bugling my, and sometimes that works, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Sure.
sometimes you hit the locator,
Yeah.
and 10 minutes later he's in your lap.
I know.
He just comes,
And
and
I've
that's
called
cool.
in more bulls probably with just cow calls than I have bugle, because I remember the first experience I had, I was like 17, and it was like my first like solo like backpacking hunt. I remember seeing this nice bull. He was like 800 yards away, and I'm like, eeet. Freaking took all of his cows and went up over the top of the mountain, and I was like that was such an eye opener to me, where I was like, holy crap, like that didn't
Didn't work.
work. So now, like, that almost scared me from bugling. Like, I bugle basically as a last resort, like trying to call a herd bull off of a heard, trying to challenge them. But for the most part, I even try to locate with a cow call because you can when you're tight like that, right? Like if you're tight and you can get that location,
it's not going to hurt one thing, dude.
Right? You're not scaring anything off. Nobody's bothered by that. The cows aren't bothered by that. The bull's not bothered by that. So that feels like a safe bet to get that noise out of them.
So then you can keep creeping down in on them.
Yeah.
I think, man, it's like you gotta like. You still got to play it right. You can't just walk around and bugle and expect elk to come. Like,
totally.
I've spent just hours and hours in the morning creeping in or waiting for the wind to change. Like, know they're bedded. And that's kind of my tactic, man, even with guiding and stuff. It's just like, get above them, keep tabs of them, whether I'm calling or not, keeping tabs, wait for them to bed, and by that time the thermals are coming up. And that's why I like hunting steep stuff too, because you can rely on those thermals. And then creeping down in on them, man. And I mean, it might take 6-7 hours to do that. But I think, and then go call them in once you're in there.
Yeah.
It's not like, I've caught a lot of bulls in, man, but 90% of them, it's like I've had to do a lot of work before I've made a noise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, here they come, or I've definitely called in bulls from way too far away, where it's why did you come? Dude, the biggest bull I've killed with a client, man, did that, where it's like, why did you do that?
Yeah,
he's like literally like on Onyx, like a mile away, and just comes and we never even moved. And then I was calling a lot. I was beating trees and cow calling. I just sounded like a puny little bull up there with some cows, and he was this giant old bull. I feel like he had got whooped.
Gotcha.
And he was alone. And I think he was the herd bull in there. He had to be. He was just too big.
Yeah.
And I think he was a herd bull in there. And I think he got whooped and was alone. And it sounded like I was up there just this puny little bull just loving it.
Yeah.
He came, dude, he came from so far. I was like, dude, I told my client, I was like, there's no way he comes up here, And, dude, it was just like every time he bugled, he was like 100 yards closer. And I was like, dude, he's coming. And then it was just like, it was a cool hunt, man. There was like a big cliff band in front of us. And he couldn't figure out how to get up that. Once he got to us, he couldn't figure out how to get up that cliff band. And you could hear him down in their mud, like pacing back and forth. And he couldn't figure out how to get up it. And finally, it went kind of silent. I didn't know if he spooked or what. And I'm behind the hunter, Hunter was out like 20 yards in front of me. And I was like, man, I don't know, like something happened. Like it just seems like he's gone. But I walked up to the cliff edge. It's just straight off. I walked up to the cliff edge, just ripped a bugle right in his. No, I just ripped a bugle like I came to him over the cliff edge. Yeah. And dude, when I ripped that bugle, I just heard coming up the cliff, and I just like fell in a bush, dude. My hunter's like kind of behind me and almost like shot over me, I was like fall in a bush, and like he comes up and it's like, oh my god, like I knew he sounded big, but when I saw him, I was like, oh buddy, like that's a giant, and that hunter didn't make a great shot on it, but it killed him quick. But yeah, dude. But stuff like that can happen, man. And it's like you just.
But it's all situational, and the only way that you really we can talk about this until we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
The only way that you're really going to get a good read on this is the mistakes that you're going to have to make.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say that. It's like there's nothing we can cover in a podcast or that anyone else is beaten to death with making the sounds. There's just an inevitable amount of time you're going to have to spend in the field and then kind of get this cache of information of that works, that doesn't work, this works only in this situation, doesn't work in that situation. So
it's to each their own, kind of, right? Like things that work for me may not work for you.
For sure.
Like I said, I stay pretty heavy off of the bugle after having that, and I still kill elk and I still have that interaction. But that's the difference. Is my experiences have kind of led me into that position. So, but I mean,
definitely
getting the basics right as far as like you said, that's a great point about hunting steep stuff and getting inside their bedroom, because you think about that too. And I've had that analogy where it's like if somebody's yelling at you from the sidewalk, he's not really a threat, right? Or he's across the road or whatever. He's in your house with your family, you're a threat, right? So you're inside of that bubble where it's like, no, like this is not happening. So those are two good points to take into consideration.
And it's something you hear a lot of. Like you hear that a lot, and it's probably just beating a dead horse, man, of us talking about it. But it's like there is a lot of footwork and just a lot more goes into calling an elk than just blowing the bugle.
Yeah.
And it goes back to just everything I call in is man, it's so much of where you're at too. Where you're at on the mountain, or just where you're at is so important, where that call's coming from.
Yeah.
And putting yourself in that right situation to get there, you know, and taking hours maybe to creep in on with your socks, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't necessarily do that with elk too much, but sometimes you do. And like, I don't know, there's so much that goes into like calling an elk in than just like blowing the call.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just learning it, man, and going out there and doing it. But it's just like, man, there's so much like, okay, bugled here, and then I'm on Onyx looking like, man, what bench are they going to go to? And, you know, it's getting about time they should bed. It's 10:30, 11 in the morning, maybe even early or whatever. And it's like, man, they're probably going to go to that bench. And then I'm going to take the next hour or two to just creep up above that bench.
Yeah.
And sit there. And I might sit there for 2 hours, man, if the wind's right, and not do anything. Just listen. Just sit there and listen. And I may hear just a couple sticks break, and it's like, okay, they're there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, now we can try to work down and get in on them, you know. And it's just being very patient with that stuff. And I do the same stuff with turkeys, man.
Yeah.
I do the exact same stuff with turkeys. Just like sitting and listening, man, is huge too. If you want to call stuff like, just sit and like listen.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, man. I'm gonna run and gun, like it's hard for me to sit still. But I'm gonna sit for a while. If I need to know where they're at, I may sit for 2 or 3 hours and be like, and then just one like big stick breaks. It's like, all right, they're there.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
just enough to like keep you going, because you start like kind of questioning it. You're like, are they actually?
It's like
on
stalking
this
in
bench?
on a deer. You stalked a failure, man. Where it's like you just went too far. You don't believe he's there.
Yeah.
And you take one wrong step, and he's in that same tree. You just watched him all morning in, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't do that step. Just sit there. You know. Which I mean, that's just doing it.
And it's just you just have to learn. You know, it's just like that's the biggest thing, is just mistakes are a great teacher for sure of what to do and what not to do. And
that's a really good point. I'm gonna clarify that. What Hunter was just expressing there was there's a mistake people make when essentially you bed something down and you make a stalk at it, right? And the closer you get to it, you start to doubt yourself. Like, hey, did this deer get up? Did he move? Did he change positions? And essentially what you'll find with guys that are fairly experienced is they have made the mistake enough to have created that doubt that they've then done something in the very final stages of that stalk that blew it, because the deer was actually there the entire time.
And you like get lazy at the very end because you're like, I already blew him out.
Make the stalk to failure.
Stalk to failure. Yeah.
So unless you saw that deer get up and physically move, you stalk it like it's there, even if you're stalking nothing for a few hours, because. Yeah.
You may sit there till dark and he never gets up, and he did move, but at least you didn't spook him.
Yeah.
You go hunt him the next day.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a tidbit.
Because that's so hard. Like is that last 30 yards where you don't know if they're there. It's just
you can't see any antler tips.
I missed an absolute giant red stag doing that. An absolute giant.
Just careless right at the end.
So careless. It kills me to this day.
I love that though, man. Like, I do love that stalking doing that, man, where it's like, just being so slow. That's one of my favorite things, dude. Or like moving when a plane flies over. I love that type of stuff, dude. Or just like a breath. I love taking 2 hours to move 100 yards. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. It's like, dude, this is sick. And like, especially, dude, when you can like see an antler tip or something. And you know he's there.
You're stalking something.
Dude.
I mean, it is cool. Like you said, you take advantage of every noise opportunity you can, right? Like the planes is that's a great idea to take a couple steps. Yeah, because it just like
of wind. There's lots
big
of
wind gusts. Like and you kind of already mapped out your steps. Like, and then it's like that happens, and it's like you can make those steps pretty quick. You know. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like 40 yards from him. You're like, all right, we're here, dude.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Stand up.
But that's a very good point on elk and deer. Like, stock like they are there no matter if they are or not. I mean, if that's the last place you saw them, have 100% confidence that they're still in that spot and make that stock the exact same as you would, you know?
Yeah, if you can avoid messing that up on something giant, that would be a good tidbit to take. The other thing on positioning, which was a good thing I learned early on, was, and I think people make this mistake a lot because I made it at the beginning, right? But there is a natural pattern that you follow as a hunter in the woods, and it's from a trail, it's from specific vantage points and stuff like that. One of the things that I got the best response from in locating elk was never calling from where I know someone else calls from, right? Because it's so easy. You go up a trail, you
Get to a
bench out
rock.
on a little point. It's the most obvious place to blow out a call, right? But every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's got to that spot has called from there.
Totally.
And I've literally changed that position by 200 yards, right? And you'll get a response where you wouldn't otherwise. It doesn't actually take much. And it's interesting that the elk,
that's a good point.
even though I don't think that bull particularly has that knowledge of it, but I do think they have enough of a sense. You know what I'm talking about?
They
for sure.
know the
You'll
location.
watch a hunter go there and be like, don't bugle from there. Like, that's a mistake. And you'll watch him and you're like, that was a mistake, right? And then you go to a spot and you're like, I'm gonna slip down on here. I'm gonna go off this little, it's kind of a So that's something I learned early on, is just do not make a location call. Sometimes it doesn't matter.
Right.
But if you're new to this and you're coming here and doing it, make your calls a location sense. I'm talking about where you're just trying to see what's around. Make that call from somewhere that is not obvious that a human has ever done it. It needs to be somewhere that an elk has done that, but not a human. So don't do it on trails.
It definitely comes back to like where you're doing it from, where you're calling it from, man. It's so key. And it is. You have to get those high points.
Yeah.
And you have to get those ridges to get sound to
get
carry.
the projection. That's what I was going to say.
Don't, like you said, don't do it where it's like the first good time that trail comes out above tree line or whatever. It's like walk 500-600 more yards into it. Because I've noticed, I feel like, man, when they hear you do it from that spot that everybody does it from, it shuts them down. To where I don't care where you do it from, then it's over. Like you've screwed yourself. It's like I was telling my fly fishing clients today, man, like how low and clear the water is right now. Like guys just wade out in there and they screw the run up before they even make a cast. They've spooked everything in that run before they've made a cast. And I think that's a similar situation where it's like, you call it from the spot everybody does it from, and now the whole basin's shut up. They're like, nope, they're here. Like, there's the hunters, And I think that comes back too to like, and I'll call later, but I am not the greatest elk caller by any means ever, and I've never claimed to be. But I think it's just like putting yourself in the right spot, doing it. I don't sound great. I'm a decent caller.
Because you have heard shitty bulls bugle shitty bugles. Like seriously, there's a lot of times where it's like, Hunter, 100%, that is the nastiest sounding thing I've ever heard. And then you're like, holy crap, it's a bull. So it's like, I would agree with that sentiment. Don't be too scared of the noise you're making. I mean, obviously try to make it to the best of your ability, but there are some wonky sounding bulls out there.
Dude. Very much so. Very much so.
Don't be. And I also wanted to talk about that. So like when we're getting to a high point, right, you're getting that projection, you've got basins, you've got rocks that sound's going to kind of echo off of. How much do you think, like if you're in thick dark timber and you're on the same face as that bull, right, how far do you think that bugle is carrying as opposed to being open and in the openness, I guess?
You're talking about just sound carrying in the timber?
Sound. Yeah. Like,
gosh, man.
I mean, I feel like you have to be pretty tight in the timber to like really get that response, because it sounds really loud to you, right? But I don't think necessarily being in the timber. So when you do find that high point that you're looking for, you do have to be pretty careful of the projection, because you might drop into the timber and your bugle may only go 250, 300 yards down, as opposed to, 10 yards up there. You're going to get that projection where it's really going to go out, So I do think, I think that affects it. It would be kind of interesting to
just terrain in general, man, and how like
wind.
And how
direction even.
That sometimes I think a lot of times those bulls are closer than you think.
Yeah.
Just with what terrain's there, or they're further than you think.
Yeah.
And it is deceiving.
Totally.
Quite deceiving.
Hear something below you, bugle.
Where you're like, oh my goodness, it's right in our lap, and it's not. And other times, it sounds like it's 400 yards away, and you pop around, and it's literally like 80 yards. And you're like, I don't know. It's like the way they face, and it is definitely a complicated.
And that's what
one.
I don't know about you, but that's why I get a little hesitant to blow those elk out right at the very end because of that. Like, I want to hear them make noise, because I don't want to push too hard into that herd, because like you said, it could be 60 yards. Oh, the police are here. could be.
Your time's up. But
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
been fun.
So yeah,
That's
all
probably
right.
me,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just think that's a very important distinction to make for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to get into some calls in a little bit. Outside of cow calls and bugling, what other sounds are we talking here? Right, we gotta factor raking,
Yeah.
rock rolling, some curiosity
Stick breaking.
sound.
Yeah.
It's your go-tos. What else?
Man,
And what other left field things are people not thinking about?
Nah, that you kind of covered it all, man. The rock rolling a lot of guys don't do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I like to do in a certain right situation.
Elk
I do
noisy.
too.
Yeah, and they're big. I don't know, man. I've ran around like a crazy guy in the back in calling.
yeah.
I mean, breaking every stick I can, jumping on deadfall to break it in half, like stuff this big around trying to break.
It's fun.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know, man. I think I used to do a lot more of that. And anymore now, man, I spend so much more time just like creeping in and getting in there. I don't really do a lot of that anymore.
Okay.
On that big bull we were talking about the biggest client bull biggest bull I put a client on. I did a lot
How
of that.
big was that bull?
Man, he was like 340.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think mid 340
But
is what we
that's-
scored him at.
That situation
But dude,
allowed for that, right? He was so hot that it
Right.
didn't even matter. Like that's
And I think and that's where it's like reading that bull where it was like, man, he shouldn't be coming from that far away. Like he's so lonely. Now I'm gonna make him feel like he better get up here because it's on up here. Cow calls and breaking sticks. It sounds like I'm running him around. You know, I want to make him feel like, okay, like I've got him coming a little bit, but I don't want him to lose interest to where it's just like, well, maybe it's just a bull up there.
Right.
Like I'm gonna introduce a bunch of cow calls, lip balling, the whole deal, like the stuff you see on YouTube where it's like, what is that guy doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like breaking and beating stuff. But I think it was just like, okay, that bull wants to come from a mile away. Now I'm going to make him really like be like, I got to get there.
Yeah, I gotta see what's going on.
There's too much going on. I got to go.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, dude. It was like the first couple bugles, like he covered some ground, and then I really started getting with it up there. And then all of a sudden, like the next time he bugled, he was like 600 yards closer. Where it was like,
Yeah.
okay, he's for sure coming.
Yeah.
And then it was like worrying about, well, dang, dude, now. You know, and I spend a lot of time, man, and I do it with everything, with turkeys, everything. I spend so much time, dude. Like, I'll locate whatever I'm calling, turkey, elk, whatever, and I spend so much time on Onyx then,
Yeah.
where it's like I'm trying so hard to get to the right spot to set up to kill that thing. And then it got on that bull in particular where it was like, dude, we're in the wrong spot. Like, we've got a cliff now.
I was gonna say,
like,
yeah.
I've done too much. He's coming, but now I've got this barrier in between him where it's like I've kind of shot myself in the foot now.
Totally.
Like he's here and he wants to come, but he can't get up this cliff. That was like one of the last ditch efforts I did was like to like go up there and just challenge him off the cliff to like be like, get up here.
Yeah.
You know, and it worked, but it was hard for that. But when he ran back off that cliff after we shot him, dude, I mean, I don't know how he didn't like kill himself.
Yeah,
He like rolled off this cliff and like, I mean, it looked awful, dude. Because I ran up to the cliff edge to see where he had hit him.
Yeah.
And he would just, I mean, he like fell off that cliff. Like it's a hard, I mean, elk can go over anything. But,
Yeah.
But like, it was hard for him to get up through there.
Well,
and I think it was so thick too, and he was so big, it was hard for him to like weave and do
Yeah.
everything he needed to get down
Just
that, you
pretty
know.
crazy what they'll do there.
I know. Sometimes
that
they
bull
just-
that Nigel and I shot 3 or 4 years ago, shot him in that in like a avalanche kind of shoot, and he took off, right? And he took off and peeled over the top of a ridge, right? Full tilt downstairs. Where we heard him go over, and there was nothing for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then just. And we started cracking up because Nigel's like, if that arrow didn't kill him, he's like,
Yeah.
that fall did.
Yeah,
'Cause it
that's
was
what I thought,
insane.
man.
We went over that edge, and I was like, there's no ways he survived.
Yeah.
He survived that. He
Yeah.
just dozer his way through that. But you make a really interesting point. It's an absolute factor when you're calling is your position in a call. It happened to us with turkeys this year. We would have killed one of those big mountain toms. And we didn't know it at the time. Obviously, you know, so like where you're calling from, where the shooter is, and how they position themselves, and then just what the factor is for a terrain obstacle for something to come through. It can absolutely screw you up. It can cause a hang up where something will come in, right? And that could be a visual hang up where it's like they know they should be seeing what they are hearing at this point.
Yeah.
and they don't, so they don't like that, or it's just a physical barrier, or it changes the direction to which they end up going around you and you don't have a shot present itself.
Right.
You're positioned in a position where you can't make a shot.
Yep.
And we just got pinned down at that
lots-
point, right? Like we thought they were further, and then it's like they're coming.
Yeah,
Like
so we
just
couldn't
take a
move.
seat, dude. Like,
We knew that screwed us.
Yeah.
But we also couldn't move.
yeah.
I hate that with turkeys or elk, where it's like I got to sit down right now.
Yeah.
I hate that,
Yeah.
dude, because
Yeah.
it's
You
like
don't-
this is not where I need
You're
to be.
not in
dude.
control.
And sometimes they just run you over. But
Yeah.
it's like God, man, I do not need to be here right now.
Yeah.
you know.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a factor for sure. And it's something that you have to also take some experience to like, sometimes you've just got to work with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times there's definitely a skill to kind of setting up correctly. And it's a big factor,
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
And
It
those
is, man.
obstacles can kill that call it. You know what I mean? Like a cliff like that,
Yep.
or
Definitely.
on turkeys, a barbed wire fence or an irrigation ditch or whatever.
Yep.
They can be coming hot and heavy, and that can just be like, oh, you know, like
And
not
I
enough.
get so picky with it, man. I'm looking for like I want a terrain feature because I want them to have to come over or come through something to see where I'm at, and then they're dead.
Yeah.
But I get picky where I'm like, I'm picking out a certain patch of trees to set behind that they got to come through that puts them in range, and it may be just moving 10 yards over here to get to that spot where I can
Right.
shoot that lane or something. You know, I think it's where like when you really get into calling a lot of stuff, and I've done it so much with coyotes, man. I'm so picky where I sit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking, dude. I've literally, man. I mean, I've sat down, turned the call on, and been like,
Nope.
this ain't it.
Yeah.
And I'll walk another 200 yards, or sometimes it might be just on the other piece of this sage bush that I'm sitting in, you know, just to see the right thing or whatever, you know. It's like you get to where you're very picky where you're wanting to set up. And it's like with elk, it's getting them located, and then it's like, all right, where can I get that sounds like another elk should be, but also using a terrain feature to get them close enough to shoot them with a bow, you
Right.
know, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, lots of factors. Like coyote hunting is a great example, right? Because you can sit down and by changing your position by literally 6 to 10 feet, you can your field of view could go from 60% to 80%.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It can be a huge factor. You know what it's like? It's like this looks real good, and you'll like sit down, and you're all of a sudden like, I can't see
Can't
that.
see that.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
can't see this, you know, and so it just becomes a factor, which is what makes the whole calling, interacting, setting up, you're moving, they're moving, right? It's what makes the calling side of things that attractive.
Oh yeah, dude,
Like,
it's a chess
just
match,
yeah.
man.
total chess match. It's
Yeah.
also just pieces are moving constantly,
Yeah.
you know, in real time. Sometimes you back out of a position. Another factor with some of that is shooter position. I don't know where you guys are with this, but I particularly like to be standing when I'm calling elk, just from the standpoint, and not only standing, I actually like to be in front of something, not behind it.
Yep, same.
And the reason for that for me is that I think it increases my shot opportunity significantly.
Yeah.
It's a little counterintuitive because it seems like if you sit down or you kneel down, that your presence is obviously much smaller, you're more concealed, which is true. And even being in front of something, so if I'm in front of like a big pine tree, or I've got a big pine tree or a brush or something, I'm calling a bull towards me, I don't stand behind it. I actually get in front of it, which is a little odd, right? But
Yeah.
the reason for that is that no longer becomes a shot obstacle for me where it's either in my way if I try to swing, or
Yep.
if I'm on my knees or on my butt, and that bull swings and comes in here, well, all of a sudden I can't
Right.
get back here. But if
Yep.
I'm standing, all I got to do is just slightly change position on
Yeah.
my feet. So what do you guys do?
I'm
with
the
that?
same way, man.
Me too.
I'm the same way, and honestly, I take time to really kick out a spot too.
Yeah.
When I set up, just move whatever's under you, sticks, leaves, whatever it is, and
you
get you
have
a
to
dirt
make a
spot
little
where it's like,
move.
because man, that's you know how it is. You make one stick and it
Yeah.
pins you, and you're done. It's like
Yeah.
take 5 seconds and clean that out, and like stand there. Where you got some dirt, like if you just need to just do this number that you can without breaking something and
Yeah.
then hearing you, you know, I think that's super key to do. But I'm always man in front of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, man, like I probably overthinking it, but like the predators that they're trying to avoid are that
Yeah.
high off the ground.
Exactly.
So I don't like to be there.
And there's lots of trees in there that
Yeah.
are vertical.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
there's a lot of deadfall, and there's a lot of 6-foot stumps that's broke over that's standing there. Like, I think about it, stuff like that, where it's like they're looking, you know, if you're coming into a call, they're probably just kind of googly-eyed coming. But sometimes they're real on edge, you know, and looking for predators too. And I think they're keyed in more looking at lower stuff on the ground as far as a lion or bear, whatever it may be.
And I like shooting standing up anyways,
Yeah,
right?
for
That's
sure.
how we practice for the most part.
Yeah, and you can just move, man.
Yeah.
You can just
your-
do more.
Your shot opportunities are significantly improved.
And if you've got something in front of you, like let's say you're behind a big old aspen, not only are you losing, you know, 30% of your view here, but I feel like the movement's more, right? Your draw might be concealed behind that thing, but this is way more exposed and way more movement than a front on draw in front of that thing, you know, where you're moving laterally to the side. So
I think it's a one that maybe people that don't do a lot of the calling stuff don't factor in, but yeah, you might consider be standing and be in front of an object. Movement is key. Obviously, you can't be standing in front of a tree or a bush and moving around.
Yeah.
So that's a factor.
Too, with doing that, you've got to be smart when you can move too.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're behind that, you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
But if you're in front of that, you've got to
you
really
be very careful.
You got to know when to draw, and you got to be like you just got to be careful how you're moving.
Totally. But you kind of risk that for increased shot opportunity, right? Like you risk that movement
For
to
me,
get that
it's
shot
well worth the
opportunity.
trade-off.
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer. I will always do that if conditions allow for it, just because I like to maximize my shot opportunities on something as opposed to maybe be concealed. The trade-off for me, I think, is a no-brainer.
And being still too, man. And when I mean still, like not moving.
Yeah.
Because obviously when they're coming in and you're calling, they're looking for something. And because I
Really
you're just
key.
doing it with clients and like other buddies and stuff, and they're up there and they're clicking their release on every once in a while, or they're just like doing this number, looking at. I'm like, dude, when you set up and they're coming, your eyeballs moving. That's it. Because when as soon as they get where they can see, they're looking. Any little bit of movement, it's done.
Yeah.
And that's with anything you're calling. And I have to get on to a lot of guys, especially guiding with that, where it's like, dude, when I tell you to get in that tree and you got an arrow on, you don't move.
Yeah.
Like you don't move. I mean, you got to move to get drawn and stuff, but like let that situation develop to where then you can be like, okay, when he goes behind that tree, I can draw now.
Then you gotta
don't be
take
sitting
that
there
risk.
like doing this number and dicking around with your release. Like, or just
screwing around with the range
yeah,
finder.
dude. Like, get your ranges, get your arrow on, and sit there. Like, you know, don't. And then your eyes moving. And that's it. I mean, it's a bull coming. You're gonna see him.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not.
sure.
He's probably not gonna sneak in on you.
And
Like, you don't have to do this and be like, I mean, you're either gonna hear him break a stick right here, or you're gonna see this 800-pound animal walk up on you. You ain't got to be looking for him. You know, like
you'll know.
You'll know.
Close enough.
And I do feel like it's worth mentioning. It is difficult sitting for long periods of time, right? Either knees or on you just get there is a lot more movement there. You know, it's like if you're kind of standing, you can kind of shift your weight a little bit without having that movement. But like when you're switching butt to knees and stuff, that's a lot of movement and it's pretty uncomfortable. You can only do it for
It's only so long.
leg
It's
goes to
taking
sleep,
time
and then
long,
you
for
got to
sure.
get off that leg, and
Right.
then that one goes to sleep, and you're just moving a lot, man.
Totally. Yeah. So especially when he's coming, I mean, that's probably a good thing to take from this is try to be standing with your best. And I like the way you phrase that with using the terrain where it's like the minute that thing is in your field of view, now you have a shot, right? Like you're using that to work because he's probably going to hang up, right? It's like changing rooms. He's going into a different room. He's going to like peek over the top and he may stop right there, right? To just survey everything first. So if you're too far back and he makes that peek, he may get weirded out and wheel around. So
and you may not see him when he does that because he just peeks his head over. And you're standing there doing this number and trying to see if your release is on the string, and he blows out of there and it's over. And you think, oh, well, he smelled us or something, but no, he saw you moving, dude. Like, you know,
and elk.
Let things develop. I err so much on the side of patience where it's just like, let stuff develop, dude. Like, I mean, yeah, it's great. I mean, you got time to shoot him out there at 30, but you may have just not had the time to get there and do that. Just let it develop, dude. If he's not going to get your wind, you know, like let him work into you, you know. And I think that's where, like, I always go back to coyotes, man. But it's like you're getting so much experience of like letting stuff work into you and like being very patient and like killing stuff with like killing coyotes with a shotgun. It's like learning body language and like knowing the situation and knowing when to be patient and knowing when to rush a shot too.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's about to get the win, I got to do it now.
Yeah.
Or if it's like the wind's perfect and he's kind of just cruising in there, dude, let him come in and like just be patient.
Yeah.
You know, like
you have to have let that develop far enough to where you can learn and then move forward in the sense of making the right movements at the right time, knowing when to move, when not to move, because it is a factor. You kind of have to, if you always catch it at the extremity, you really never know like what you, even in the whitetail wood's a good example, right? I push the boundaries more and more with how much I move in a tree stand sometimes, right? To see like when do they catch me and when don't they catch me, right? And I'll let a scenario unfold, right? And then I'll make a movement or I'll make a noise. Obviously it's circumstantial, right? But you start to learn. You're like, oh, I can get away with quite a bit more movement in a certain scenario than I thought I could, right? And so the more you can kind of piece all that stuff together in the toolbox, that's when something that you do want to kill comes in. You know, it's like, this is a scenario I do not move until this occurs. Or you're like, this is going to be a killable opportunity in that window and it has to happen now. Right? And so you kind of, you have the experience of playing the whole field. It's like, take the very first best opportunity that's presented or having the experience to let it develop, like you said. It's like, that's too risky there. That's not going to happen there. I need to let this, you know, and obviously you're factoring in time's a factor, wind changing, all these other variables that factor into that. Okay, here's another one, and then let's get into a little bit of noise. With my hearing, right? Calling is kind of tricky when, and this is maybe something you should touch on a little bit, right? Making a sound and then them responding to it and then you responding to that like a conversation is a fairly important thing. What I've noticed is with not being able to hear well at all, I can't call like that, right? Because my responses are not actual responses to the environment the way they're calling, or the way they're answering me, right? So when I call, I have to change mine where I structure it into something where, unfortunately, it doesn't let me interact with things like you guys are, right? Where you can see a situation develop and then based on what noise they're making, you're tuning what you're doing. I can't do that necessarily, right? I can locate them. So what I've started doing, which comes back to the whole like more than one way to skin a cat, I've killed some bulls with curiosity, right? Where I don't challenge them, but I get myself, again, it's a factor of positioning, but then I make noises that are not threatening, but that I think get them curious. And that's the like very, very soft cow calls, not a lot of calling, and then ground noise, right? So rolling a rock, and obviously this you have to do where a bull has to break, he has to break a feature to be right in your lap. You can't do it if he can see that. If he can see you screwing around 100 yards away, he's not going to come in. Curious bull has to be dark timber. It has to be like he has to break through some thick stuff, or he has to pop over something, or he has to pop up onto a bench. And he'll do it slowly. Sometimes you'll get it curious enough to where I can get cows to come in, right? But it's also it's non-threatening, right? So you do get this pot where the bulls are curious, but they're not defensive. So their guard is down a little bit, right? And it's definitely, it takes some finessing. It's a tricky one to do. Like you got to be pretty patient to do it, because some of the ones we've got this right on, I bet you it's taken like 45 minutes, right? And it's not, you're not constantly making noise. You're making a little bit of noise, you know, and it's like they'll like, I don't know, it's an interesting one, but I've definitely been able to coax some bulls in where it's like they know they shouldn't go right to the end, but they can't help themselves.
But dude,
can't help
I feel like it's like both sides of the spectrum. I feel like you get bulls that come, because I feel like I've done that for sure too with like curiosity. I feel like the bull either comes in like super laid back, believing like, oh, that's an elk for sure, or it's like really on edge where he's like not really believing that that's an elk making that noise with like stick breaking and stuff. It's like you either get where he's super laid back and like, oh, that's elk for sure, and he just kind of strolls in, or it's like he's really looking like something's weird. That's what I found with that.
But they're suspicious, but not so suspicious that they bail. But they got to come
figure out what's making
and
that
those
noise.
are some of the quiet bulls that come in, right? We definitely have some bulls, even in the aggressive, not the very aggressive scenarios, but you'll definitely have some bulls that will not make any noise, right? And they will come in. We've done it in several setups where that's another one. It's the like getting up and moving before you give enough time to be sure something isn't there. The amount of times Nigel and I in the early days would make a call set, you know, run the time frame, be like, okay, there's nothing, right? Take 10 steps, bam, bull's been standing there the whole time. You know? Or was very carefully creeping in. If we'd have just given it another 5 minutes, he would have been into us.
Patience.
Right?
Back to patience.
Yep. And saying, yeah, dude, I had a bull, same over the counter that I hunt. Would have been the biggest bull I ever killed. I actually ended up losing this bull. But I called him in 3 different times over the course of the whole season. And it was like 3 very different scenarios. So I called him in early, like opening week of season. He had no cows. And he came in silent on me. And he caught me lifting my bugle tube. And I like looked this way, went to bugle, and I looked, and he's like, and I'd already called some, cow called, and
So
he's like 30 yards
pinpointed
standing
it,
there.
yeah.
And he saw me lift my tube. And it was like a week later, I called him off his cows, ended up smelling me. And same big herd bull in there, big cool bull. And then like a week later, I actually snuck in on the herd and did the whole deal like I do now, where it's like sneaking in and getting in his bubble, and called him in. And his 2 cows came in to me, and they were at 30 yards. And I thought he was going to follow those cows out. So I rolled my sight. This is still when I just shot a single pin. That's the last time I ever shot a single pin for elk. And I rolled to 30 because I was like, hey, he's going to follow those cows out. And next thing I know, he pops up 10 yards, like just right here. And I totally, in the moment, forgot my sight was on 30. Comes up broadside 10 yards, right on him, shot him right in the backstrap, dude. Actually, no, I think I one-lunged that bull, and I'm pretty sure he lived. But I spent the rest of the season looking for that thing. And a lot of blood, ton of blood for a long ways, but never found him. But yeah, it was cool. Like I got almost 3 weeks of calling that same bull, and I had 3 different, completely different scenarios. You know, he'd come in silent the first time looking for cows because he hadn't had any cows yet.
Right.
And then he's got the cows. I call him off of it. He smells me, and then get in the herd with him and call him in, and then shoot and lose him.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's pretty cool. That's a good tidbit of information too, is like persistence still wins, because a lot of people blow a bull. I've done it, blow a bull out, and it's like, that bull is not anywhere near here. He's not coming back, but was he relatively in the same area?
Oh, he's in the same basin, man.
See,
And it's a big enough basin where he like crosses the basin and goes over, feels good over there for a week, and then gets bumped and comes to this side.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're willing to just move across the basin, you can stay on them, you know. But man, I think too, like we do get a lot of bulls coming in silent. I mean, that's
Especially
something I play
early.
that game a lot, man. Where it's like you're listening for like a stick break, you know, or just trudging in the.
Which almost gets you more hyped up, honestly. Hearing something like that where it's like he's 20 yards and there's a stick breaking and he hasn't made a noise. It's almost more exciting than him bugling from 500 yards and coming
the same
in.
Way,
you know,
dude.
it's
like those sticks breaking and those noises coming in, dude. Even if he's not bugling, you're just because, dude, it's like a wonder thing. Like when they're bugling, I mean, I'm always kind of, and it's never really right, but sometimes it is. But like I'm always judging that bugle. It's all raspy and growly, and you're like, oh, he's gonna be a giant when he shows up. But when they're coming in like stick breaking and not bugling, you're like, you don't know what's gonna. It could be a spike. It could be a dang 360 rolls. And you're just like, what's gonna pop up? You know?
Exactly.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, that is so fun. I've had you mention like some of the other calls and like raking, especially early. Like I've definitely had those silent calls where it's like I won't even make a peep, right? Because I know he's not really responsive to cow calls or anything yet, but just like light raking on a tree, and it's like you just hear that, and like you said, could be a spike, could be something else, but you know something is there. You know, it could just be a twig, it's the size of a pencil, and it's just like, oh, he's like 30 yards on the other side of this crap I can't see.
Dude.
You know.
Well, I think for people that don't know, like elk are like when you're in dark timber, they're super loud.
Yeah.
I mean, they just sound like elephant. But dude, honestly, there's sometimes I know that they're purposely being quiet.
I know.
They sneak. It's like, how did he get through that deadfall without doing one thing to let me know he was there?
Just like you said before, it's their demeanor. Some of them are aggressive and they don't care about the noise. They actually want to make noise. Others are just lackadaisical, and others are absolutely sneaking.
Yep.
Precise.
Being
for
quiet.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I watched a whitetail do it one time, man. He saw me up in the tree and didn't know what I was. Big deer, like a giant. And I literally, man, I watched him like he was almost in like a kneeled down position and just was like sneaking out of there. And like literally it was like down low, like no reason for him to be, and he just like crept out of there and just didn't even make a noise, like in leaves.
Side-eyeing you.
Yeah. And just, but it's like, man, when they want to be sneaky, I think those older animals especially know how to do that, where it's like they know like where to put their hoof, you know, to not break something.
And when to do it and when not to do it. And when caution's thrown to the wind and they're coming, you know, it doesn't matter. But when they're kind of, it's like curiosity thing you were talking about, like they're way more likely to come in ultra quiet, being curious than they are being pissed off.
Well, especially time of year, early season. That happens a lot, man. I think when I'm calling early season, I spend a lot of time just sitting where I just called from. I'm in good sign. I know there's a bull around. I may sit there for an hour or two and just see if he shows up. I've sat down before, like do a decent little sequence, you know, and then sit down to eat something. And 30 minutes later, I'm just sitting on a log looking around eating my sandwich or whatever, and I look back and he's standing there. It's like, dang, dude, you know, like
happen as well.
Should have just been hunting instead of eating, you know. Like
it's funny, I've hunted with several people that like can't help themselves. You'll sit down for lunch, right, and someone has to make a cow call and I'm always like,
why?
I was like, get your bow. Right?
Yeah,
we've had it happen several times. Never had a big bull walk in, but we've had several where same thing, 15 minutes later, it's like,
there he is.
Here he is.
And you got an Uncrustable in your hand.
Movement. One thing I've done, I don't know if it's really effective or not, but if I'm hunting by myself and I'll do that, sometimes what I'll do is call, but then I'll move and never make another sound.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about you as a solo hunter, if you do that, and then when do you move and not move as a guide, or let's just say you're hunting with your buddy, right? And you're calling. Like, what should people be thinking about in regards to how much the caller moves?
Yeah.
And do you ever force your hunter to move? Right. Obviously, you do, right? But what do you think
with solo, man, I think doing that move forward is huge, man. I mean,
looking behind you.
But you got to read the bull. If he's hot and just lighting it up every time, and you know he's coming. Like, you probably don't have to do that. But man, I've done it a lot with those, like sneaking in on those herd bulls where it's like, make my bugle and then I'll bump up 30, 40 yards and I'll never say another peep. And because that's where it's like, you know, I mean, everybody knows like the classic caller behind, hunter in front, because they're going to hang up out there. You know, a lot of times, man, where I'm hunting them, I feel like it's such dark, thick timber. Sometimes that's not a factor. It's like they've got to come so close to see where that's coming from because it's so thick. And they've got to come, I don't care where you've called from, they're going to come within 20, 30 yards of that to see, because they have to see where it came from.
But they can pin the sound pretty accurately.
To the tree, man. I mean, it's like turkeys. It's like they know the tree you're in.
So part of what we're doing is making a sound from a spot that we're making the assumption that the bull is pinning you at, but changing your position by 30 or 40 yards in the hopes that he's a bit more focused on that point that he's pinpointed that you make. The key is you never make a sound. You don't make a sound getting to the new spot. Because I've also done that, right? You make the call and you're like, I'm going to get over to that tree there, right? But you step on something on the way there. That kind of throws the plan out of the window for me a little bit. Of course, it also depends on, do you know there's a bull there or not? Is he close or not? You know,
I think paying attention, obviously, what the wind's doing. I think you've got to pay attention to that. And when I've got a hunter and I'm setting him out in front, I'm typically setting him up in the direction of downwind. A lot of times I may set him up completely downwind, just because if that bull's going to come in and hang up and circle, he's going to get the wind. And so I think always, and I make sure my hunter, I tell these, like before we even really get in the woods, I'm like, when we set up on a bull, make sure you have a lane downwind. So whether that means going to a different tree or just getting on the right side of the tree where you can shoot downwind, because if that bull's curious or on edge and doesn't really want to commit to the setup and just come in all googly-eyed like you want him to, he's going to get the wind. So setting up, if you're dual calling, like you got your hunter out in front, set your hunter more on the downwind side of the setup, because that bull a lot of times is going to try to circle to get that wind.
Just err on the side.
And I do it solo too, where I make that move where I feel like he's coming, I do my last bugle and make that little 30-yard, 40-yard, jump forward. I'm generally tending going towards where the wind's blowing. Because if he does come in and want to circle, he's going to go for the wind. And
And I like to
but always having a lane, man, downwind is so key, man.
Yeah.
It's like guys set up and it's like, man, you got beautiful lanes here. The wind's blowing this way. You can't really shoot it. You need to move where you can shoot that downwind side. And it may screw you, man. But if that bull's on edge and he's looking for that call, he's probably going to go with the wind before he really commits to it.
Yeah.
You know, and you always hear it in dark timber. Oh, he smelled me, or any elk hunt, he smelled me. But it's like, man, you can play it right, especially with a caller and hunter setup.
Yeah.
With two guys, you can play that so well, man. Where it's like, if he goes to circle, it just puts him right in. It goes back to coyotes, man. Like setting my call up wind, so when that coyote circles for wind, he's right in my lap.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to play the wind, and it's hard in dark timber because that wind's swirling, and you're kind of just hoping he comes in at the right time where it's not like doesn't swirl to him. You're just hoping it don't swirl.
Yeah.
But
I also like.
That's why I like hunting steep stuff, man, because you can play those thermals.
Yeah.
Where it's like. You always have some sort of directional in there too, but it's like play the thermal right, man. And yeah, it sounds crazy, but I've put guys behind me at some point because of the wind. If I feel like that bull wants to circle, you know, like weird. My hunter should be out there. The bull's that way, but I set my hunter over here.
You just had a.
Because he bugled here. He bugled
yeah.
here, and then the next time he bugled, he's like over here, and the wind's going that way. So I'm like, okay, so run there, you know. And I do move guys, man. I try to. I don't set up really far. I try my hardest. Like, I've probably screwed some hunters out of bulls doing the classic. Oh, go 30 yards there, and he comes straight to me, and I could have killed him 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a gamble you're always playing. Yeah. But like. I think sometimes, man, when you get the right bull and he's really fired up and coming, you stand right beside me. You're just going to stay right where the call came from because he's just going to come.
Yeah.
And there's no sense in setting you out there and then he comes straight to me and then I'm just standing there with a bugle tube.
That comes into the coin toss of actually guiding because there's a lot of factors there. It depends on how experienced your guy is or your hunting partner, right? And how in tune you guys are because sometimes it may be a slight advantage to position him in a slightly better position, but you lose communication with each other.
Yeah.
You lose the ability to kind of give instruction. So there is always this toss-up when you're guiding or hunting with somebody else on that factor, right?
Yep. And I try my hardest, like 30 yards max with guys.
Yeah.
Just so I can at least give like a hand signal or something. You know, I can't be like, hey, draw your bow. Like, hey, you know, draw.
Yeah.
But like, you know, and that's such a hard thing in dark timber, man, with guys like new hunters. They don't know when to draw.
Yeah.
Man, I had one guy, I called in 8 bulls for this guy, all nice bulls, in a matter of like 3 or 4 days, and he never drew his bow. And these bulls are all in range. And it's also like he had never really hunted elk, and he's just having these crazy like adrenaline dumps. So like when these bulls were gone, we would have to like sit, and I'd have to like console this guy for a while because he'd just be white in the face.
Yeah.
You know, we're physically drained. On this hunt, it was raining the whole hunt too, and they're physically drained, and they just had this adrenaline dump, and it's just like, dude. At some point, you got to get that bow back. If you spook that bull, I don't care if you draw the bow. Like, you can't kill him unless you draw.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to get your bow back, dude. And his brother was on that hunt. His brother was very mad at that guy. But I eventually got with that guy. I was like, man, you got to get that bow back. He never drew his bow. And I called in 8. One bull was like to this day, probably the biggest bull I've ever called in. The first bull we called in for him. I actually called him to 12 yards of the guy and never drew.
Just froze.
Coming unglued. I mean, I'm like 20 yards behind him, and I can just see his top limb of his bow. Just like, which, dude, I love.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm
glad you had that, but you should have got that bow back, dude, because you had a 12-yard shot. And like,
you could be shaking.
We chased him through the timber, dude, and finally I got him to turn after like 2 hours of chasing him through the timber. He was pushing his cows, but these guys were in good shape, and I do that a lot too, man. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm in good enough shape where I feel like I could about keep up with those elk.
Yeah.
And bulldog bulls, I've done that a lot where it's like, if he's pushing, I'm going to be right behind him. And eventually, man, you'll get them things to turn around.
He's finally going to be like, would you shut up?
Dude.
Like, what is, like, why are you following me?
Yeah. I've done that a lot too, man. Like, I've bulldogged, if I've got a hunter especially, because I do that a lot personally hunting. I've bulldogged some bulls where it's like, if they want to push, I've messed up the whole slipping in on the bedded deal. And it's like, now they want to push. what's it matter? Like, if they're gonna push to the next basin, you might as well just bulldog them and see what happens.
But it's worth noting that it is much harder to keep up with elk for an average guy, right? Like elk, when they decide to start moving up the drainage or whatever, staying within striking distance of those elk it's a tough ask.
And I'm not saying I can do it every time,
right?
But I feel like a lot of times, man, like I can run through that deadfall and just like bulldog them and finally get them to turn around. And that's what we did with that bull. These guys are in good shape and we were just running through the deadfall after him. I called too much and he started pushing and we finally caught up to him, dude. And he was like 50 yards and it was just this real steep stuff. I could tell they almost didn't want to go up. And finally he just turned around and just crashed down through us, dude. Now, my eyes, I about passed out when I saw that bull. It was like giant, dude. Biggest bull I ever called in.
How big was he, you think?
I don't know. I've never seen one that big, that close. I don't know.
Yeah, big, huge.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If I had to put a number, 360 plus.
Yeah, just
giant, dude.
Yeah.
Everything. It looked like that bull. Like, no joke. Like, I mean, it just...
And there's a certain point where, like, it's so big, it doesn't even matter.
No,
it could
it's
be...
like, just get that thing shot, dude. But no, I mean, this is literally first 40 minutes of hunting.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
I shouldn't say that. First 2 hours of hunting, because we chased him a long time.
But still.
But just like, first time this guy's really been in the elk woods, and like, I can tell this bull's huge just by his bugle, how he sounds, and never got to see him in that dark timber until he's like 12 yards from us. And I'm just like, dude, like, draw your bow, like, please. And the bull wouldn't have cared. Like, he was so pissed.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
He
like, just get it back.
Like, could he not, like, get it back, or he just like didn't want to risk it? He
never tried. Okay. He never even got like tension on his string. And his brother would be standing with me.
And he's like, draw.
Yeah, dude.
Draw.
And he was cussing him, dude. He was like, dude, what is he doing? I'm like, I don't know.
He's your brother.
Yeah, dude. You're the one that grew up with him, dude. Like, and y'all shot out in the yard or anything.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was bad. But dude, I mean, we got some crazy cool, and that, like, all those bulls I called in were like nice. Like, he just wanted to kill a bull.
He didn't care. He didn't
care. He was like, if it's legal, I'm shooting it. And these were all like really nice bulls I called in, but he just couldn't get his bow back, man. Which I love that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that hunt, man, that was a crazy hunt. We had this crazy morning. I think I called in 4 bulls that morning, and because we only hunted 4 days, and this guy pretty much quit. And I love the dude to death, man. He was like, cool dude, like willing to go. Like anywhere I went and was like, there's a bull bugling, let's go. He was like, let's do it. And even in the back of my mind, I'm like, it don't matter, he gonna draw anyway, but like we're gonna go. But
and see, that's something you can't really teach either. Like when all 3 of us are hitting that back wall on the bow, right? It's totally an afterthought. It's like you kind of see the situation unfolding, and it's like you just know when that opportunity is. And I don't even know if that's necessarily from experience, because it's like, I don't know, it feels like
it's a killer instinct and experience combined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta take that chance.
Yeah.
You know, and just knowing when to do it. And that's kind of a hard thing to just explain to people, of like, he's moving sideways through the trees, and like, where's your opportunity to draw, and where's your lane, and where are you going to stop him? And that all has to be like calculated quickly.
Yeah, you're not even looking at the bull, you're looking ahead of him, like, okay, I got to get my bow back when he gets behind that. And that's where it's like so hard for new hunters with elk, because they're huge and they're like big animals, and it's like hard to take your eyes off of them to plan out what you need to do to get them killed, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you got to like come out of it, because I get it bad still, man, where I just go into a dream, and it's like it's still like I've done it a lot, I've bow hunted a lot, but I still just go into this like blacked out dream where it's just like nothing's computing, you know. It's just like, but still back there, I'm like, I got to get it killed. But then I've got better here in the last, really, man, since I moved out here, and having, I think, experiences with elk, because they're such a big animal, you have to come out of that and think about what you're doing. Yeah. You know, and a lot of guys can't. You mess up in that, because you're in this dream of like, okay, all this has finally happened. I've spent 10 years getting this tag. I'm thousands of dollars in debt because of this tag and this hunt. And here it is, and it's got all this emotion flowing, where it's just like you're in this dream, and it's like you got to come out of that. Yeah. You have to. And it's hard, man. And that and it's hard for me to even want to come out of it because that's the feeling I love.
Right.
You know, where
Yeah.
it's like, I love being in that, where it's like, dude, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And I've killed a lot of stuff with a bow, but every time I kill something with a bow, it's like, dude, how is this actually,
yeah.
this shouldn't be working, but it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah,
you know? And
exactly.
it's like, but you get better at coming out of that. And sometimes maybe even for new hunters, it's easier to come out of that or not even get into that because they haven't.
Yeah, both ways.
Yeah, because they're like, they haven't. Yeah, they just haven't had all these experiences where it's like, okay, there he is, I'm going to pull back and shoot him.
Yeah.
And it's easy. But I think the more experiences you have, the more apt you are to like get into this dream of like, it's just like, it's slow motion, but it's happening in fast motion at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
you guys
Oh,
know
for
how
sure.
it
I
feels.
think there's also a factor when that occurs, at least for me, it happened to where if I did that and I got into that blacked out kind of buck fever scenario, but then the scenario didn't unfold, I really regretted not the feeling I got from it, but it was like all the effort I put in to spoil it at that moment. So I got better at kind of like learning when to channel that excitement and not, and knowing that it's like this is gonna come, like that excitement will be there, but we got shit to get done.
Yep,
you know?
exactly, dude.
And there is also
get
definitely
nervous after.
Yeah, for sure.
Easier said than done,
It is.
for sure.
Yeah, it is.
But
And that's the
it's
beauty
a
of
conscious, as if you have a little bit of a conscious decision in
Yep.
that moment, like just a little bit to get you through that. Like that's just what you need.
I think
you
it's
know?
another factor that makes calling so fun that I didn't necessarily grow up with in South Africa, because you're often in charge of the scenario and making the plays and letting things unfold, whereas when you're calling, and for sure, I mean, I got this the first few times I predator hunted, and there's two factor there. One is that things start to happen very, very quickly, and it totally throws your composure off. The other is you've got that natural distressed sound, right? So you can take anybody, right? I can take them out, right? We could set them up in a call, right? That screeching noise, like, it'll get something inside you on edge
dude.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh, yeah.
But then the unfolding of something, like I've been chill before where I've watched a whitetail, right? Let's say for an hour, totally composed. I know everything that's going on. I mean, in 10 seconds, a doe runs out, he bolts out, ends up like 5 yards, right? And everything goes out the window.
dude, yeah.
I mean, everything goes
Oh,
out the
yeah.
window. Same thing with the bull, right? Same thing. Working a bull, something, you know, this and that. You're 30 minutes in, maybe you're 3 or 4 hours into the day, right? And then in 30 seconds, everything can go out of the window. He comes busting out of the timber, runs right in your face, rips a bugle, or stops somewhere where you can't shoot him, but he's like 10 yards away. You just see a white eyeball and steam, you know, and then it's just like, oh yeah, all the plans out the window.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
even
dude.
in that
Just
point,
checks
you
out.
still got to know when to draw it, right? Like in that, like you're talking about that whitetail bust into 5 yards. Stuff might go out the window, but you still are having that decision of like, you don't even think about it, right? It's like draw the bow. Like it's
You gotta
happened.
get that experience a few times, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have that happen a few times where you're like, oh wow, like shit got real quick.
Yep.
here,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it usually
And that's
does.
better. That's
Yeah.
for me, it's better to happen that way.
Yeah,
Because I don't
definitely
have time to get nervous.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the last time, like the most nervous I've ever been on anything is whitetail hunting.
Yeah, because it just takes forever.
Dude, yeah. It like it happens quick, but it takes forever too. I don't know. It's like the most I've ever been nervous, like sitting in that tree and it's a little cold and stuff's developing slowly. Dude, not just I became unglued before, man.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a good way to be because that's like telling me I'll still love it.
Yeah.
And I like that feeling, but still the killer instinct kicks in. But yeah, I like it to happen fast because I don't have
Yeah.
time to even think. It's just like, all right, he goes behind that tree, draw, shoot, and it's
Yeah,
over.
and then
it's like,
you're right.
oh, okay, it happened, you know, which is good. But I hate slow developing stuff.
I know.
Which, yeah, with elk calling, a lot of times it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
You know, I
Until
feel like
it's not.
until he's 20 yards
Yeah.
ripping in your face. But
So a funny story I kind of remembered in this whole scenario. I was talking to Doug one time, right? He killed a couple of big bulls in New Mexico. I don't know if you ever met his buddy Dan. He talked about his
I think he talked
active
about Dan.
friend,
Yeah.
his guide down there. He's talking about this one time where they get into this elk, they got it bugling, they're in some like really, really thick stuff, and they've got it called in, right? But it's so thick, and he said they're at like 30 to 40 yards, right? Just cat and mouse with this bull that just will not commit finally, you know. And even Dan, like, and it's so thick, like noise is not a factor. They just cannot get this bull to break out, you know. into range essentially, where he can get a shot. And he backwards and forwards for like 10 minutes or something like that, 15 minutes or something, screaming, you know, moving back, calling, coming back. And finally Dan sneaks over to Doug and says, give me your water bottle, you know. And I'm this whole time thinking, like, what? He's like, you got a water bottle? He's like, yeah. He's like, give me your water bottle. And Doug's thinking, like, what the hell, you need a drink? So the elk's like 30 yards away, like in the trees, right? He's like, get ready. Takes the water bottle, opens the cap, starts to pour it on the ground like it's peeing, right? That water starts splat, 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 splat. That bull just fucking comes unglued, breaks right through, right? Just what it took. Like I said, that bull got quiet and you could hear him just emptying that water bottle like he was peeing.
That's sweet, dude.
Yeah,
Bull just committed, and I was like,
that's really
I would have never have thought of that.
Especially being in the moment and all that going on, I'd have never thought to do that.
Yeah.
That's like something you almost have to plan.
Yeah, I was going to say. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one to keep in your back pocket for like a last resort. Because, yeah, I mean, sometimes that, like I said, that's typically when I'm bugling the most is when it's like, all right, like this is my last resort, right? I haven't done anything so far to make him commit. So maybe water bottle, pee, and just throw that in your...
I do it with a turkey wing, dude. I keep a wing on me.
Oh, yeah.
And like last ditch effort for me is like beating that wing on the ground or like sound like a turkey fighting. And I've had that work a lot.
Yeah.
And just like he's hung up out there at 60 yards forever. And then just like, all right, I better try this. And like beat the wing on the ground. And here he comes just strutting right up the ridge or whatever.
That's awesome.
Sometimes something left field like that can just...
So think outside the box too, you know, and that's the biggest thing about this whole thing is just don't get... There is no specific formula to this, right? Where it's just like, yeah, you need to call from here. The bull's going to respond. Then you need to respond with this. And this is what you're trying to say, which... is important to some degree, but I mean, it's all just circumstantial, and you just have to figure it out as you go.
Yeah,
you know?
but I think with that, man, you got to have like your game plan.
Yeah,
and stick to your plan too.
Yeah,
you know, you got to be able to like, you know, change plans and adjust to the situation, but you also need to stick to your plan, and
trust your gut.
And trust your gut and just like stick to it, dude. Yeah. And have what works for you and continue to do that. Because it's like you were saying earlier, there's like until you're in these moments, man, that's when you're learning this stuff and that's where it makes a difference. And you're never going to know it until you're there.
Right.
And we've been fortunate to be there a lot. Mm-hmm. And man, just having a plan and sticking to your gut and being able to adjust to some sort, but still sticking to your plan and not just like... It's so easy with elk because it's like you can get to where you're like want to stick to your plan and then it's like, man, he just moved like 200 yards and then all of a sudden it's just like you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And you're like, do I go up the ridge and try to call him up there, or do I try to sneak around and shoot? And it's like all this stuff going on where it's like, I don't know, let him go where he needs to go and then redo your plan. You know, let him chill back out or go to a different spot in bed and then redo your setup and stick to your plan. Where me is like getting terrain in between us and that bull and sneaking in on him bedded and calling him, you know, getting into his bubble.
Right.
It's like stick to your gut, or let if you're wanting to stalk him, it didn't work this time, chill out, let him go and then stalk him again tomorrow or 6 hours later. You know, don't get spun out where it's like if that bull doesn't commit to what you're doing, try to play somebody else's game.
Yeah.
We always say in the fishing world, you can't fish another man's game. You know, we do it salmon fishing, dude, on the mesa. We're always texting us guides out and, you know, Colin or Seth's like, man, I'm crushing them on red. And I've got red on 3 rods that I'm trolling and I ain't got a hit all morning. And it's like the same thing. And it's like, that's not working for me.
Yeah.
You know, so having what you like to do and sticking to that and being patient and letting things, you may blow it up, but give it tomorrow and go do the same thing.
It's almost like a reset. Yeah. I make that mistake now hearing you talk about it where instead of like stepping back, resetting the situation,
you try
going
to
back
force
to your
something.
No, I'm just constantly like trying to adapt and then pushing this and pushing that. I suspect a lot of people make that mistake.
Sure,
I make that
do.
mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, and I make it a ton too. I mean,
but that's a good perspective. I'll think of that more next time, where it's kind of just like, hey, that didn't quite plan out. It's like take a minute, back off, reset.
Yep. See what he does, and then make another plan to get in there. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to try some calling stuff?
Sure,
here?
dude. Sure. Like I said, man, it's like the Step Brothers scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you bring any of your stuff?
No.
I remember the first time Nigel and I hunted with you, with your calling. It was awesome.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I mean, like I said, I've never claimed to be a great elk caller, but
Didn't.
let's try this Riven, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
And I don't know how these
First
mics
thing-
are going to pick this up.
I know.
So
Yeah.
cut us a little slack there.
yeah, see,
Sounds
like this
good.
one for me, like that latex is super stretchy for me. I have to have like a real
Tighter.
tight, super tight latex. I think it's because I've used diaphragm so much.
Yeah. And
Yeah, see, like I can't blow that one great.
It sounds good. Is that one
yeah,
the
it
Riven
sounds
was?
good. Yeah, that was that was the Riven.
brand spanking
It sounds good, man. I can't. It's hard for me to run like soft latex.
Yeah.
What are your go-tos? What are you?
Man, I like this purple.
What is it?
Phelps.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what they call this one.
Yeah, I
it's-
still like
yeah.
the buzz in there.
Yeah, for sure. And you said you do like the dome ones too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you want
I
to give
like-
this one? This one is probably a little stiffer. This one was the first one he called on was the what did he say that was the trimmer is what that one was called.
It would take me like 10 minutes though to kind of adjust to.
Yeah,
Use
to
this
not.
one, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, see, like I have to use so much air, man. I like blow them out.
Yeah, I
With
was gonna
soft
say
latex.
I go. My favorite one that I've used is the pink Phelps. It's got like
Yeah,
the
that's what
muscle
I've used
man
a
on it,
lot,
and I
yeah.
Yeah.
really like that one a lot. But
I
I,
like
wear
the
them
orange,
out quick.
the orange one for soft cow calls.
Yeah, and something I do, man. Something I do, like whatever call I'm running, I make sure and have 4 or 5 of them in my pack.
Yeah.
Because, man, sometimes when you are calling a lot, these things get wore out.
Yeah, they-
where it just doesn't sound the same, and then you throw a crisp one in.
And where are you putting your diaphragms? Like when you're done, if it's not in your mouth, where is it going?
If I'm hunting, it's in my mouth.
Yeah.
Because, dude, man, I killed a bull a few years ago where it was like, if I didn't have the call in my mouth, I wouldn't have killed him.
Yeah.
We walked right up on him, and I spooked him. And I cow called one time, and he turned around and got curious and came
But
to me, and I
that's
shot him.
immediate. Like you can't be like, oh, I got to
No.
get the cow call.
It was like
and-
as soon as they started busting sticks, I cow called and they just turned and came right to me and
Yeah.
I shot them. But if I'm same way with turkeys, yeah, like if I'm in the woods, the call's in my mouth.
Yeah.
They've just had so many situations where it's like you spook an elk and you cow call one time and they just calm right back down. They may just bed right back down, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I think having several of these, man, and I may when I'm calling and like getting with it and calling's working, I'll use 4 of these in a day. And because that latex gets stretched out, it gets all soggy and nasty and
Yeah.
just doesn't sound as crisp. And you're
Yeah.
not getting the volume you get
I
either.
was gonna say you get some spit between the latex and it like rattles and it's not as
Yeah.
loud and yeah.
But yeah,
I-
this white one's good too. Man, I would be interested. I want to order some more of these ribbons. I like how it fits like these do. Like it fits
Yeah.
like how I'm used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the dome's the same. I like how it fits. It honestly fits better than this Phelps. But I need to play with tighter latex if they've got one.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I think they do have a bunch down there because I think both of these are like a wide range, which I also kind of like because I can make all those noises. Right, I don't really want like a bull specific one and a calf specific one. Like I like to be able to make all of those sounds with one.
Yep,
you know
I'm
what
the
I
same
mean?
way.
It's because you don't know what that situation, what it's gonna
Yep.
arise.
And I don't even use all I use is diaphragms. I don't
Yeah.
use any kind of bite calls.
Okay.
I use strictly diaphragms with everything. I mean, honestly, man, even for turkeys, I'd never use a slate call or a pot call.
bars.
I might use a pot call to locate, like a glass pot call.
Yeah.
But I'm never calling, like finishing that turkey.
And see,
with
that's
a-
exactly like I use the bite and blow for a cow locate. Like it's always on me for a cow locate because it does project a lot better, right? If you're
Yeah.
gonna locate a bull with a cow call, that projects while you've got this handy, and then as soon as that's located, then it's all soft. And I like to adjust my lips the way like how much air is getting out, right? Like the closer I get, I like to be a little bit quieter. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Make it sound like I'm farther away than I actually am.
That's where the tighter latex, to me, you lose a little bit of that like close, soft stuff.
Right. Yeah.
That's where this one it kind of can screw you at some point because you can't do those like soft. This is just super loud.
really
soft
But I believe too with elk, man, like especially with bugling, you can't bugle loud enough.
Yeah.
With anything.
No.
Okay.
You just can't. You can't bugle loud enough.
Right.
And I think a lot of guys where it's like you hear like, oh, that's a hunter. It's just they're too quiet.
Yeah.
I truly, I mean, you've heard bugles right in your face. You can't do it loud enough.
Yeah.
You
totally.
can't get that volume.
Yeah.
Give us one of your locator bugles with that tube.
Well, a carbon.
Mm-hmm. I think it blacked out on the mic. That sounded awesome, but I think it. Did you hear it through the mic?
I did.
Okay.
So
I didn't hear it
Yeah.
without it.
It may have picked up through these ones. Yeah. I hope that picked up. That was
Yeah,
nice.
Picked up fine.
Yeah. And that's the lip ball that he's talking about there. So that's kind of that challenge where you're vibrating your lips against that bugle tube.
Yeah,
there.
it's like
Yeah.
almost like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I use that quite a bit, like doing that, like sneaking in deal. I try not to be crazy aggressive with that. I try
Yeah.
to just like sweet talk his cows. But if it's not working, because that lip ball, for people that don't know, is essentially like a roundup. Like that's them like actively pushing cows around.
Gotcha.
And rounding up cows. And I think when it doesn't work and you know that bull's there and you just kind of give some puny little bugles talking to his cows and it doesn't work, you may sit there 30 more minutes and do that lip ball and make it seem like you're pushing his cows around, getting them up, pushing around.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I don't do it a whole lot, man. To be honest, dude, I try to sound pretty puny.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
I just think I think especially even with a big bull,
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm gonna go whoop him real quick. He's too close.
I always call it a little bitch bull bugle. I mean,
Yeah.
that's tends to work the best for me for sure.
No, that tube sounds sick, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to probably get one of those. But no, I don't use the lip ball much, and I don't do just like, man, I just don't. To me, you don't have to do like a bunch of crazy stuff. I mean, they make crazy noises and stuff, but I'm not like the greatest caller and not like doing anything special. It's just kind of normal old
But
bugles.
it sounds good. I mean, that sounds legit, especially your chuckle.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's say someone wants 4 core sounds. What do they got to make?
Man, just like I think a lost calf call does really good too.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Like, man, I've said it like I
Heard
think
that more and more.
I think bulls are pedophiles, dude. Like they don't care. They don't
Yeah.
care how old she is.
Yeah.
And I think in their mind they think that calf is leaving or she's lost, and then that mother to that calf has to go get her. So
doesn't
he's
want
going to
her
round the calf
leaving.
up before she can get up.
Yeah.
Is what I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to think of the bull's perspective on calling too.
Yeah.
But like a lost calf, just. And a lot of times it's like in repetition like
Right.
that when a calf's actually lost.
And then
it
you
may
get-
be 20, 30 times where it's just meow, 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 meow. And I've heard it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it like where that's
But
what
you
they
can
sound
also
like.
get the cows or the bulls to spark up because
Mm-hmm.
of that, right? Like you could get 40 cows going nuts with a
Those two
with a lost
instincts,
calf
right?
call.
You've got that instinct of kind of lost and distress that piques things' interest, but
Right.
you've also got the bull with his instinct of like easy target. Like
Mm.
you said, they don't care. Bulls don't care
Yeah.
how old the cow is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, there's probably a preference.
Yeah.
It-
Probably.
Seriously, I
Yeah.
suspect the probability of nature, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in humans,
No,
right?
I know.
There's
Yeah.
preference.
Yeah. No, I think like just a classic cow call, man, like a lost calf, your locator bugle, and then have something that's kind of growly and nasty.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
not so crazy growly. And honestly, man, I don't chuckle a lot. I
was wondering, do you ever isolate a chuckle? Because I don't. Like, do you ever
I
just?
don't, man.
Yeah,
I don't. If he's doing it to me,
right,
I'll do it back to him. But sometimes I don't do that, man. That chuckle is such an aggressive thing, I feel like.
Totally.
I don't chuckle a lot.
Yeah, me neither. Even on like my locator bugles, I'm just like, I like to hit and kind of like turkeys where you want to hit like that highest note possible. Like it's almost like a shot gobble, right? Where it's like that high point is like so long that it's like it just stirs something in them, right? But I typically don't follow that up with a chuckle. Never on a locator bugle.
No, and for one thing, if you're chuckling, he may have already be bugling and you don't hear him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like he may cut you off, and if you're in the middle of a chuckle and you know how loud it is when you're calling, you don't even hear him.
Yeah.
So I like a long, high pitch note locator. And not even really nothing even up front or even on the back end of it. Just a long, high pitch, just.
Yeah.
Or even longer than that and higher pitch than that.
Yeah.
And you ain't got to put nothing in front of it or behind it. It's just kind of just one solid good note out there to locate. But man, I do a lot, and you've heard it too, but like I do a ton of mimicking.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing, that's what I'm doing most of the time.
Which makes that hard for you, Andy, for sure, which is kind of what you touched on earlier. But that is like, if you can match exactly, I mean, I definitely feel like even cows and everything, like just being able to match that almost specifically. But
and that's where if he's chuckling at me and I know he's like getting worked up and it's getting right, like I will chuckle.
Yeah.
If he's doing it to me.
Yeah.
But man, I just mimic them. If they're doing little short, just pissed off, just screams, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just like to mimic them. But it's like letting them tell you what to do almost.
Yeah.
You know? But man, like I said, I stick to kind of the basics, and I think where it all comes back to is where you're doing it from and how you're set up. And if you sound half decent, it'll work. You know? I don't think you don't have to be your great callers out there. I mean, you just don't have to be. I mean, you should sound good though, man. I feel like if I can tell a difference, it's a person they can too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But is that tube choice? You know, like you have the wrong tube, it sounds plasticky and weird. You may have the right note on your diaphragm, but the plastic just is weird, and you're not getting that like
reverberation.
Yeah. So
I like that heavy Phelps tube of yours is nice.
Yeah.
I've always liked that. Guys got good luck with that.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell you've got the short tube, which I think for a close
I've got
is that one, that real little shorty.
Yeah.
For softer sounds in the timbre, actually sounded really good.
The Phelps small one. Yeah. I typically, I don't know. It kind of varies on what I'm bringing. I mean, that takes up a lot of space, and I don't like it dangling on me, so I like it on my pack. So if I want to bugle, it's kind of more of a pain than having a short one with me, you know.
Yeah, I don't, man. That was just at my house. I've used that shorty for probably the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Or since they probably came out with it.
Yeah.
I've used that one.
I think
That's in my storage unit.
Well.
Yeah.
But you're talking like the slightly thinner diameter one. It's like yay big.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the most portable of them.
I was going to say,
you can cover a lot with that. You can't rip something massive like some guys can really pull some sound out of a big tube like that, and it does resonate pretty well.
Yeah. I think calling as loud as you can too with bugling.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're close, maybe not, but I still feel like when they're close, as loud as you can do it, because you just, in my opinion, you cannot get enough volume.
Yeah.
I mean, those bulls are loud, dude. You just can't be louder than them.
Yeah.
So you might as well call as loud as you can to try and be, I mean, I've had bulls in my face 10, 20, 30 yards, and I'm just as loud as I can do it, just ripping right at them, you know, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Directional type stuff. What's your thought on kind of straight at a bull and when you're not straight at a bull, and in regards to a bugle, when are you blowing that thing right in his face, and when are you obviously very close proximity but not shouting right at him?
Yeah, I think, man, that's huge, dude. Like where that bugle tube is pointed is very, very key. And I've turned bulls on. I've made bulls do a 180. I called in a bull for my dad one time, and I turned that bull 100% just by turning my bugle tube and going back with it. He was going up the ridge and kind of leaving, and I hadn't called in a minute, and I think the last time I had called was kind of up there, and he was going up there, and my dad was ready to shoot pretty much, and he just was beelining it up there to where I'd last call from. And it hit me because it was like, man, it was happening quick, where it's like almost like he's leaving. And I just turned real quick and turned it this way behind it, and he just turned literally a 180 and just came right down to my dad, and he shot him. But I think where that bugle tube is key, man, like where you're pointing that thing.
Yeah.
What's the factor? Like what is the?
I think a lot of times what I'm doing is facing it away from the bull 90% of the time, and then if they're not committing and they're getting somewhat close and they're just hung up out there, then I'll hit them straight on with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes, man, I'm working even with the wind. If a bull's working wind, I'm going to blow my call upwind and try to get him to circle in a little bit tighter so we can get a shot, you know. I think it's something I'm thinking about constantly when I'm using a bugle tube, man. It's like which way that thing's pointing.
Okay.
Because I've seen it work multiple times of like literally turning bulls around or making them do a 180. I think they can pinpoint you great, man, to the tree, but if you're in the right certain situation with the terrain, I think they don't know exactly where you're at. I think if you've got a big ridge in between you and them, even on steep stuff, I've seen them do it where I just feel like they haven't pinpointed me.
Do you think there's a factor where sometimes when you're directly blowing it right at them, obviously elk are always kind of moving around, right? But it's a very direct challenge to the bull. But if you bugle not directly at him, but loudly and in close proximity, do you think for them they're factoring in like, this guy's calling my cows, right? He's not shouting at me necessarily, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Do you think that's part of it, or?
Yeah.
And when in the calling structure, are you actually calling at him or calling his cows?
Yeah, I think it's how you're getting in on them.
Okay.
When I'm doing that deal of sneaking in on a bedded, I'm talking to his cows. I never once feel like I'm talking to him.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where, like we were just talking with that lip ball, even that's the most aggressive thing I'll do with that when I'm in that situation. But man, if he's like coming and like ripping right at me or cutting me off, I'm gonna point it right at him. I'm gonna talk to him because he's talking to me essentially. If he's talking to me, I'm talking to him, kind of deal.
Okay.
And if he's just bedded down there with his cows, I just want to talk to his cows.
Yeah.
I think just mimicking what they're doing, you know. Like I said, if he's talking to you, I'm going to talk right back to him. If he's hollering at me, I'm going to holler right back, you know. It's just reading what they're doing.
Which just comes with time
Yeah.
and experience.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think if you take a common sense look at it too, and just take a step back and think about how he's sounding and like what the situation is, you can read it pretty quick. Even if you've not been out there and doing it a lot, you can be like, well, they're bedded right now, and he kind of just gave me this like half kind of bedded bugle. Then I'm gonna sound kind of lazy.
Yeah.
You know, I think just mimicking what they're doing, man, helps, especially a new hunter.
Yeah.
Mimic what they're doing,
Yeah, it's kind
and
of
that will
easy
help you.
recipe to follow. Kind
Yeah.
of.
And annoy your wife to death with your read calls, like practicing the truck, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, dude, I call a lot, and I've been calling a long time, but dude, my bugle tube, that's what I got. It's in my truck right now. And when I'm driving to Lake City to do fishing trips, or I'm driving to Blue Mesa, I'm ripping bugles in the truck.
Yeah.
I'm constantly practicing, man. Constantly.
Yeah.
Even with turkey season, like I've got a box of turkey calls in my truck, and I've got elk diaphragms in there, and I'm constantly.
what a hillbilly.
Dude, seriously, I don't even listen to music, man, driving around. I'm calling, dude.
That's awesome.
I mean, I love it, dude. I mean, it's probably funny, people driving by, and I've got this big old bugle tube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Looks like some
totally
big
done
like
that.
gear shifter. You know?
Yeah.
I remember doing that, going to Oklahoma whitetail hunting, but had a hunt here where I'm like going through some town just screaming a fucking bugle out.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
nose. So
yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. My buddy that comes out here and hunts with me, the first year they came out to elk hunt, they were so excited, man. And they were driving all the way from Georgia, and it was just, he was sending me videos like every stoplight or whatever they were at, they were just hanging out the window, just ripping bugles at people parked, you know.
That's hilarious.
People walking down the sidewalk, they were just screaming at them.
And half of those people probably didn't even know what it was.
No,
They're
dude.
like,
Yeah,
what?
why is he screaming like that? No, I mean, dude, practice is huge, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Because it's like a musical instrument. That's what I tell people. The diaphragms, for sure. Like there's a lot of fine motor skills that goes into making those noises, right? That pressure change, and you just got to have it in your mouth. You got to practice because it took me a while for sure.
I definitely sound better when I'm out there and they're doing it too.
Yeah.
Like when I'm practicing and stuff.
Tune into,
into
the tone.
Exactly.
And
And like cows, like I'll just hear a cow and then I feel like I'm good enough with a diaphragm. When I hear her do that, I can sound just like her, dude.
Exactly.
And the bull too.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like I'm definitely a better caller once I'm out there doing it.
Yeah.
And they're making noises and I can just mimic what they're doing.
Right.
And I think you practice enough with a diaphragm, you can just, I mean, it's like you don't even think about it. You just do it right back and it's like you sounded just like that cow or that bull.
And you know how much pressure to add. And, Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that I observe with you doing it, and I know that's a factor, but might not be obvious to some people, is the emotion you put into it. It's not just the technique, but I notice how you hunch your torso over, right? You're kind of creating some tension in yourself. And then when you make either the cough call, there's kind of there's emotion coming out of it as well as the sound. I've always heard that to be a factor. And I think when you hear guys call, you can tell when it's flat. It's just a flat, just a straight note. And then when it's really got some kind of feeling behind that, which I think some people naturally pick up on, but it might be a factor that not everyone that doesn't call a lot doesn't think about.
Right.
And I call better standing up. We're a lot of guys too, man, like practicing turkey calling. They walk around the house, but as soon as they're like set up on a tree and they're all like this, like everything's compressed, they don't sound as good.
Yeah.
So I think practicing in those, and that's one reason I like turkey calling, man, in my truck, because I'm kind of scrunched in my seat. Like, it's just like, there again, shooting your bow, you practice situations you're in, you're shooting from your knees or whatever. I think you should practice, if you want to be a good caller, practice those, like where you're sitting weird or you're wrapped up in a tree trying to do something, like there's just situations you get in where you may not sound as good as you did at home when you're walking around your house, Yeah. But I definitely, man, I mean, with elk, man, I mean, get to where you're using these diaphragm, but all that sound's coming from your diaphragm.
Yeah.
It's not.
And like you said, there's definitely emotion to it too. Like when you get into one of those real rut fests and you hear that whine like that, there is something there where a hoochie mama just doesn't cover it, right? Where it's just like, meh.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be some inflection in that vocalization.
And cows do it, man. I mean, they make some crazy noises.
It is
some really whiny, long, almost bugle sounding. They do it, man. And I think, you definitely should do that stuff where it's not just like what you said with the hoochie mama, where it's just one note and just meow, meow. I mean, they don't sound like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of times they do, but it's like when they're really ruddy and estrusy going on, there's some just growly cow calls, like some weird, funky noises. Because you got to imagine some of those cows are 12, 15 years old, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cows make all kinds of crazy noises and long, drawn out, multifaceted stuff. Where I heard other callers do it, and I was like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" I was like, "That sounds ridiculous." You get into a big herd and you hear them do that, you're like, "Oh wow, they do that all the time."
And it's typically when they're getting like pushed, like when they're trying to get bred, they're making those like estrusy, like growly. Weird noises, man. Which I think what you kind of want to appeal to a bull doing. Like I'm over here, I'm kind of ready, like I'm whining a lot. Get over here, you know.
Sound like a slutty cow for sure.
Dude.
Heard that a lot. Sound like a slutty cow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 2 hour mock now, but given this is the September It's coming series. How about Connor and I are coming to elk hunt with you? What's the pep talk you're giving to new clients, right? Mm-hmm. We've just come from out of state. We got our bows ready to roll. You're going to take us hunting. What are the do's and don'ts?
I'm going to tell them to at least draw their bow. Please draw the bow.
That's the first thing that comes out.
Now, I tell guys, man, like, I let guys know, and I've had guys kind of disagree with me, but, like, I tell guys straight up, like, this is how I hunt, and this is what we're going to do. And, like, we adjust a little bit, but we're sticking to the plan, and we're probably calling probably more than you want to, but eventually it works, and it kind of always does. But, man, my spiel with guys is, I'm trying to think. what I give to guys, man. Like, I guess being wind conscious, I'm like very, very, and my wife will tell you this, I'm very anal on like noises, just like not being loud in the woods until we need to be, unless we're trying to sound like elk cruising, crushing sticks or whatever. But I'm so like, I feel like most guys, and I'm not saying I'm the best out there, most guys I hunt with are walking so much louder than I'm walking, you know, and that drives me nuts. I drive that into guys like to where I know they're thinking about it. I just want quietness, and not only necessarily for spooking stuff, but to be able to hear
stuff.
Yeah,
Totally.
just got to be able to hear, man.
I mean, just a jacket brushing
yes.
against it, and you can't
a loud
hear.
puffy.
Yeah.
And like, but every time we stop, we want to get into a conversation about something that's not even related to hunting.
Right.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally stepped away from guys that are just wanting to chat my ear off, where I'm like, dude, I got to listen for a bugle right now. Like, I'm not up here to talk about football.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not. Like, and I'm here to have a good time, and I do like having fun, and I definitely tell guys that too. But when we're out there and like we're in the zone, dude, like, quietness is key, man.
Okay, so keeping quiet, being conscious of your noise constantly, whether it's your talking, whether it's your footsteps, whether it's your clothing,
food bags. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the tent, man, I've got it written inside my teepee tent. It literally, I don't know, I've got a picture of it, but it says something like, if you were in this tent, we are probably in elk. Just because the zipper's shut doesn't mean you can talk in a normal voice.
Yeah.
We're whispering around all day, quiet and doing this and that. And as soon as that zipper shuts on a piece of seal nylon that big, it's like we can just talk like this and like, oh man, I can't wait for tomorrow. I'm like, dude, there's a bull bugling 60 yards behind us right now. Shut up, dude. Like, go to sleep. Like,
low impact. Like, that's a great idea to write that down, because that's like,
there, dude. I wrote it on the side my client sleeps on too.
Yeah.
It's right above him, so he can just stare at that all night.
That's hilarious, dude. That's epic.
I want to talk and have fun, and we can joke and
but
laugh.
You can whisper, right?
Yeah, dude. Like, and it's just like, as soon as just like, zzz, it's like, hey, buddy, what up, dog?
Yeah. Which is funny.
I had to write it, dude, because it drove me so nuts.
Yeah,
man.
and you're sick of saying it.
Yeah.
I went scouting a couple weekends ago with a local guy who's not a hunter at all, and it was crazy. Like, it's June, right? So I shouldn't be like too worried about it, but I'm just like when I'm out there, like you said, I just want quiet. I want whispering the entire time. I don't even care what it is.
I don't care what time of year it is.
And it was just funny, like hearing him talk, because I can't really like say anything. Like, we're not trying to kill something, but it's just like, whoa, dude. Yeah. Like,
you know what has been a pet peeve of mine for years doing that is slamming car doors.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one where immediately if someone gets out of a car and slams a car door, I'm like,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what my dad and my grandpa were.
Don't ever touch my door like that. Ever again.
Don't ever talk to me again, actually.
Yeah. My kids are learning that now too, though. Like, that was pounded into my head. I'm sure your guys' heads growing up, you know, it's like, that's just a huge no-no. And
dude, and I do it getting out at City Market over here.
Yeah.
I'll get out and I'll just like,
click.
Yeah. He's like, you're shutting the door like you just got out to like hear a turkey gobbler or something. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I tapped into like hunt mode.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
One of my instant triggers is if someone slams the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
No, I don't really. I think my spiel to guys is like just being quiet, because man, it just seems like a lot of guys that I hunt with, they want to. Every time we stop, man, it's just like and it's like, I'm stopping right here for a reason. Like, we're listening.
Yeah.
And I'm not listening for a bugle. I'm listening for like a twig that big breaking.
Right.
You know. So like, just being quiet, and I think, man, doing that, like, it makes you a better hunter, and just like listening, man, like slowing down and just listening to what's going on. You may hear stuff that's not even related to elk, but it tells you kind of where they're at, you know? I'm a big guy on just like being quiet and quiet clothing. I hate these loud puffies, dude. I can't stand them. I can't stand them, dude. I've had literally, man, I've sat my clients like under a tarp in the rain, and I've sat 30 yards out in the rain, so I can listen, because all they want to do is sit there and talk. And I'm like, I'm out there to have fun. I love having conversations with people, but I'm out there, I got a job to do too.
Yeah.
And like,
which they have to admire also, you know, it's like they see that you're serious about this. Like, this isn't just like, oh yeah, it's another client. Like, you really want to get them an elk. You truly do, you know, and they see that dedication for sure.
Yeah.
Did my calling sound decent?
Heck yeah.
Sounds great.
Okay. That sounded awesome.
I don't know if I need to like redo it. You know?
No, but what I think I might have you do, you can pick whichever one you're comfortable with, is do the 4 main sounds that you were saying in succession. So if people are like, okay, I want to hear that one back, then they can just kind of listen to this. So start with your lost calf.
Okay. I think with the lost calf, man, you need that like repetition too.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do when they're lost.
Yeah, they're not
it's
doing
like
it twice.
constant, man. It's like 20 times in a row.
Yeah.
So that, and then just like, I don't know, I like nasally nasally cow calls, man, and whiny cow calls.
Me too.
Yeah,
Nice.
like, yeah.
Really good. That raspy one that's in there is fucking money.
Yeah, dude. You hear cows do that, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the ones that's really hot.
It
sounds decent in a bugle tube too, man. And I do a lot of that with cow calls.
Yeah.
And that gives like a louder one. And I'll like point the call this way and do it, and then not in the bugle
like
tube.
multiple.
Yeah. And that's where like a diaphragm's so cool because you can do that because I'm not doing this and then reaching for my bite call.
Yeah.
And there again, it's more movement doing that if you're close.
Yeah. But you can just be turning head, have your bugle tube here, turning head this way, going into the bugle tube, trying to change the position of your mouth.
Yeah. So I might like, hit it this way, like. Yeah, so just like adding, different volumes, different pitches.
Multiple are there for sure.
So yeah, and then like the locator bugle, just long, like I don't really do much up front or on the back end, just a long high pitch.
Yeah, I'd bugle back to that one for sure.
And then I don't know, man. I just like growly stuff. It just really for me is like that lip ball.
Yeah, for sure. You can put a little chest into it.
Hunting big bulls too, like that lip ball can get them going, dude. I think because you've heard it, like that's what you're hearing when you're like, oh, that's a big bull. You're like, oh, that growl, I'll try to do it like I'll do one up at like the front end of it, and then I'll try to do one at like the back end of it too. It's harder for me to do it on the back end, the lip ball.
Okay. Yeah, that was nice.
And I'll try to do one on the back end.
Yeah, very nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And you kind of don't get as much sound projection when you're doing the lip ball because you're closing that
like
front end.
it.
But like you said, that's a time for like a direct challenge in his bedroom. Like you're close at this point, right? Like he's hearing that when you're not standing on top of a cliff 800 yards away doing a lip ball at that bull. Like that's a tight call.
Yep.
But those are the 4 main sounds that you are going to use.
That's all
for
I
sure.
use, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it, dude.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I'm in there and it's going off, I'm probably making some crazier sounds I don't even realize I'm doing just because I'm in the moment with them and I'm like mimicking and But I think that's where it like, God, that's fun, man.
Yeah.
When you're like in there and you're mimicking stuff and you're just, oh, dude, that's the best.
It is. I'm still a deer guy, but man, it is like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's such a cool experience.
Yeah, you're in there in the rut fest and you're making noises with them and stuff's happening. It's just, it's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, throwing in the raking, rolling rocks.
Yeah. For sure.
Reading the situation. Don't get too aggressive, but if they're aggressive, be aggressive back.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. Just
and there
mimic
is
'em.
light raking and there's heavy raking also, like I said, you kind of need to be conscious of that as well, because there is obviously more aggression with a louder thrashing trees, breaking trees. Like that's more aggressive than it is, just doing like a nice, because they're going to scrape off that velvet and they may not be thrashing it at that point.
Well, you've sometimes got just kind of that territorial kind of rubbing, this is my bedroom, but
Yeah.
then you've also got the I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Where it's like, and I love seeing those rubs where it's just like this tall sapling where the top snapped off of it and it's just freaking rubbed clean. It's
Shredded.
like, can you imagine that bull just beating the snot out of that thing? Yeah, but that definitely covers it, and you'll kind of have to figure out what kind of elk hunter you are individually and kind of what you like to do, you know. And like I said, I love the spot and stock stuff, but for the most part, my elk, I want them to be vocal, you know. And but I was thinking about this earlier. One hunt I went on with Sage Fool. We were young. We had like cans of like soup and stuff. Like just didn't know anything. And I remember we came down this trail, we're on this really steep trail. And we looked down. There's 2 bulls bedded. And it's first day of season. And I remember we just like called, like set up and called, and those bulls were like, absolutely not. Like not even close. And so that was like such a good scenario. It's like, dude, we would have killed 2 of those bulls if they're 80 yards, right? We just sneaked down. They're bedded facing the other direction, like, and we just didn't know. So it was like that was a learning opportunity for me, where it's like that was not the time to call. You know, 2 bulls together, like. But
imagine I did that the very first time we went out as well. We like wrapped around, did this big old hike. We find these elk. I'm like, okay, sweet. You know, we had never hunted elk. It was our first time ever. Drop all the way down, come up the other side, underneath them, right? So we're below them. It's like open in front of us. There's timber, heavy timber behind these elks. Probably like 20 cows and this really nice bull. And of course, you know, we'd freaking seen all the videos and everything. Dude, I get this. I didn't make a cow sound, but dude, I just made an awful bugle right at him. And that bull literally ran around his cows and pushed them running up into the trees. And Nigel and I were like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah. You were talking about being below. That's a good point, though, man, too. Like, I think with calling, I definitely like to be on their level or above them.
Yeah,
totally. A lot of guys don't think of that because most of the time when you're coming in accessing where you're accessing the elk, you're already below them.
Yeah.
The elk are always higher than you. So you go in calling, but you're setting yourself at a disadvantage. I believe that to a certain extent. I've definitely called bulls downhill, and I've called turkeys downhill. Everybody says a turkey won't come downhill. I've called turkeys downhill, and I've called bulls downhill.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, I like being on their level. I like being on a side hill on their level, man.
Me too.
Yeah,
And that gives them, and a lot of times in the steep stuff I hunt, it gives them where they can get that wind. Because if your thermals are pushing up and if you're side hilling, it gives them, they're like, oh, I'll just roll in, grab the wind real quick and know what it is and then come down or whatever it is, you know. It gives you a crosswind to work with in a certain sense, whether it's wind's blowing up or down.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
Bugling, which is why I said we were below them specifically, because it's a mistake, generally speaking.
Yeah.
If you're below them. And there is just the natural position of advantage, right, that an elk has when you're above. We kind of talked about really earlier some of these big, like, above timberline bulls that Nigel and I have hunted before. They're kind of fun, right? They totally expose themselves. I don't even really do this in archery season, but they'll expose themselves completely in the open, right? They'll bugle back at you all day long, but they'll never, ever come down. Not a chance, right? They're just like, come on up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whenever
Be
you're
my
ready.
guest.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to be right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there is a huge misconception out there too. Not a misconception, but like guys are seeing these big bull killers, and most of them don't call, and most of them are spot and stalk guys. And that
There's a lot of guys that do that.
And
I
it
don't
is.
call a whole lot.
Yeah, and you do
know-
kill your big bulls, but I'm here to tell you, man, if you want to call elk, it is very, very. You can do it. You can call those big herd bulls in. You can, whether they've been called to a lot or not. Those bulls, man, when they're ruddy, I think they throw a lot, they throw a lot of caution to the wind.
Yeah.
Whether they've been called in 20 times in their life, if they're just googly eyed, it's September 18th and it's just on, like, you can do a lot. And don't think that you have to spot and stalk these things, man. Like, it's very doable. Like, if you play it right.
Yeah.
You almost get the mix of both, where it's like you're sneaking in, you get the stalking aspect of it, and then you're finishing it with the calls.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very cool, fun way to hunt.
Absolutely.
And I think if you're a good hunter and a good stalker, you can call bulls in by doing that.
Yeah.
Mixing the two is kind of fun to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely. I remember talking to Justin Davis. Do you know Justin Davis at all here? I talked to him about that for a while. He's like, man, I never call elk ever. Never. He's killed a pile of big bulls.
Yeah.
Like, a bunch.
Yeah.
So I remember at the
Talked to
beginning
people like
screwing
that,
up so
too.
much of my calling. I was like, I'm never going to kill an elk. He's like, oh, I never call.
Yeah.
But it's the experience difference, right?
Yeah.
As well. It's like I have to adapt to it because of the hearing, but like you said, there's nothing better. You know, than
I know, I'm doing the hybrid
interacting with
way,
them
you know,
Yeah.
sneaking to 90 and finishing it out.
lots of
with
different
that.
ways to do it. That's
But guys
what
look
makes
down
fun.
on it too, man. Guys, I feel like a lot of guys are looking down on guys wanting to go call elk.
Yeah.
They're like,
Because they're
"Man,
like, you're over calling, you're blowing
dude."
the bass,
And,
you know.
I mean, go somewhere else, I guess. You know, like I'm gonna call. You know, I don't like that from guys where it's like, oh, he's just up there running them around calling. And yeah, if you sound like an idiot and you're like putting yourself in the wrong position, then yeah, that's not good to do.
Right.
But a lot of guys, I mean, those guys that are looking down on those guys, they've hunted elk a lot longer and they understand what they do. And these guys might not, you know, and just like let them hunt how they want to hunt, you know. And I mean, yeah, they might blow out the basin you've watched this bull all summer in, but like, sorry, you know, that's how he wanted to go hunt. Let him hunt that way. You know? And don't look down on it. I think if you get good at it and you can kill those big herd bulls calling for sure.
No, that's cool. I mean, you've obviously done it. I have yet to call shoot a herd bull that I've called in. So I need to do a little adjusting.
Yeah, you've been on
But-
a bit of a deer kick for
Yeah.
a while.
But
We're always on a deer.
Yeah,
kick.
exactly. Yeah, but I mean, it is important. It's like, and I one thing I did want to address real quick is I've also heard people talking about, because I usually am like, if I'm calling for somebody else, that 30 to 40 yard mark is kind of like where I want to be, you know. But sometimes those big bulls, especially in more open aspen kind of canopy country or just open forest, they're going to hang up further away, right? So I've heard guys being like, nope, I'm 80 yards, 80 yards minimum. So then that ends up basically being a 20-yard shot for the hunter if they come in that direction and don't make that big circle to your
Trade-off
pinpoint.
for sure.
You
It's a
know?
gamble.
Yeah,
It
the
is.
We've
further
done
you
that.
are behind your hunter, sometimes the more that bigger that circle gets.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That probability of him evading your hunter's shooting lanes grows the further back that you get, for sure.
And see, that's where I don't have experience, man. I hunt elk in dark timber.
Yeah.
Like, that's just where I hunt them.
Yeah.
Like, I've never really hunted, never killed a bull in the aspens. I've killed some bulls like that bull I was saying about in the open, in that wide open basin, but that's very, very rare for me.
Yeah.
I'm in that dark timber, deadfall, nasty stuff with them when they're bedded.
For
So I
sure.
don't have experience with that, like, more open. I think, man, I would struggle going to like even like a New Mexico hunt or like a more open country hunt.
Yeah.
I think I would struggle a little bit. Not necessarily, I would definitely have to adapt and change my tactics up.
Yeah.
Well, and
because I
especially
don't
being
have that thick stuff to pull that bull through.
right, being solo like that, the big bull that I was talking about, the herd bull that I called in, I got him to by myself, got him to 100 yards, but I'm in aspens, and those aspens are like this big around, right? So I mean, you can just see, I can see that bull up there. I got cows coming all around me, trying to call over my shoulder. I can't move at this point because now I've got cows in my face, right? But that was another situation where it's like I just wasn't quite where I wanted to be when that situation unfolded.
Yep.
Like, that's not an ideal scenario. You're like, yeah, my shooting lanes were great, but he's 110 yards and he's stomping back and forth screaming and he's not committing. I can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
You know?
You can't move. He can see down there where you're at.
Yeah. So, and it just sucks walking through deadfall, but don't be fooled. They are in there for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, dude.
They are in some nasty stuff.
I think they love to be in that stuff. They can hear so much, and I think they love to bed in that deadfall, man.
Yeah. And there's good feed in a lot of that beetle kill stuff also, because the water isn't getting sucked up by the trees. The trees are standing dead. They're standing grass in there. So they
got
have
everything.
They got a food source in there. They've got protection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I would struggle, man, in some more open stuff, because I've only ever hunted elk. Yeah, we hunted them in Nevada when I was younger, but man, I would struggle in open stuff.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I
I
would
think you
definitely have
figure
to
it out
adapt.
pretty
I mean,
quick.
I'd go more in the stalking game, but for me, elk hunting is like calling in dark timber.
Yeah.
And hearing sticks break when they come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But dude, it's July, man. Like,
It's coming.
it's coming. When July hits,
starts, it's crazy. Like I'm thinking about just like everything that I got to do to like line everything. Like I got to cut some firewood and I got to, but it's coming quick.
Summers are short in Gunnison when you've got shit to do in the summer, and September is around the corner.
Yeah.
And
it's close.
One thing we want to touch on too is Hunter has an archery antelope tag that starts August 15th. So yours is even coming closer than us. And I'm super excited for you in that antelope tag. And
that's going to be a fun one. Dude. That's just a tag you don't get that often.
Yeah.
For any, we don't get that tag often. It's going to be difficult, and that challenge is going to be fun.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but you're here for it.
9 years, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been I've been here 11 years. I guess. Yeah. So basically,
dang.
since I moved
good
here,
for you
man,
for saving, man, because you could have dumped him on some crappy, but this, you got an archery tag where you've got terrain to work with, which is huge for him.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique hunt. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it, man.
And he's got a couple that he's seen already that are very interesting for sure.
There's some cool bucks out there, man. It's nice because there's not many guys out there.
I was gonna say, how many is it? 5 or
8.
something? 8. Okay,
which is more than I thought.
Yeah,
I thought it was 6.
I think they kind of give out, because they only give out maybe one or two muzzleloader tags. I don't even know if they give out 2, but and then very few rifle tags. So I think they kind of, give the opportunity with the archery, but I bet the success rate is not very good. I'm very confident that you're going to kill one, but I think the success rate on that.
I'm going to be kind of picky because it's kind of my only hunt for the year.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little picky, but
yeah,
maybe not too much.
Yeah.
Like once September is getting really close, like I got to get
the
one.
thing is you can be picky, but you can also make stocks, and that's what I tell people on these archery antelope hunts. I'm like, game of numbers, like make stocks. You can get to 80 yards and decide whether or not you want that buck, but
go do it.
Getting that practice in, is key for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, man.
Yeah.
Just go stalk them.
Yeah, exactly.
Make decision once you're in shooting range almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is easier said than done. Also,
sure.
It's like
dude, when I get in shooting range, I go into kill mode.
Yeah, exactly.
If that bow comes back, it ain't going down.
Yeah,
unless an arrow's leaving
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't draw on stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I don't even think even whitetail hunting. I wouldn't even practice drawing like does or small bucks because I'm like, man.
Yeah, once it hits the wall, she's going for it for sure.
That doe could actually just be like sausage or something.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, we're super excited for you. Thanks for coming back on again.
Dude,
that was awesome. I think
lots of good info in there.
Yeah,
I hope so, man.
Appreciate it.
You might have to, everybody listen to this, you might have to listen to that a couple times to kind of, because I know we covered a lot and we bounced around a lot.
Lots of info in there, though.
Yeah, but that's
it's hard not to, man. It's hard not to bounce because it's like, there's so many scenarios out there,
Absolutely. But yeah, listen to that. Let us know if you got any questions on anything. I think that was awesome, though. I think that was a really great tutorial and kind of just, get out there and do it for all the young elk hunters. That's how I my start to bow hunting was elk hunting, and I think it's a great way to kind of start that,
Yeah, I mean, it's an epic species all around. It might be one of the might be top 5 in the world for something to experience.
For sure.
Yeah,
and remember too, it's like all over the country, man. It's a 6 to 10% kill rate with a bow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
I know guys that's hunted 10 years, man, and not kill one, and finally kill one. But like, you've heard it too, where 10% of the guys are killing 90% of the elk.
Yeah.
And that's very, I think, very true.
For sure.
And try to get to that level, man.
Yeah.
There's things they're doing that you're not, and try to get there. But don't get discouraged, man.
Yeah.
They're a hard animal to kill with a bow.
It's a good time.
But there again, when it happens, it's always like, that was kind of easy.
I know. Yeah,
it's hard work too. In this country, it's no joke. If you hunt elk hard, it's no joke.
Well, yeah. I mean, Hunter talking about Hunter's got
a
a screw loose for sure. 11 miles, freaking going in for a bull, dude. You're not. Is that the same basin? Didn't your wife kill one in late in the snowstorm?
No, no, but that one was, that was still like 6 or 7 miles in there.
Yeah. Yeah, was she pregnant at that point or no?
No,
no,
dude.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I'm glad, man. Dude, that was the worst situation I've been in hunting.
Yeah,
sure.
It was like 2 feet. Wasn't it like 2 feet?
Yeah, it was up. It was over my knees.
Yeah,
and we're 6 miles in with a bull down.
Yeah,
and hearing like helicopters flying in, picking other hunters up.
Yeah,
like search and rescue, picking guys up.
But not this hunter and his wife. They're freaking packing that bull out of
Yeah,
there,
dude, I
man.
had like half the bull on my back, and I spent like the next 2 days getting that thing out of there. But
Yeah.
dude, that was a mess.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, I hope you pick something up, but at least you got the antelope tag to
Oh yeah.
look
I
forward
got my
to.
deer tag, man. If I can get if I can get a hunter killed pretty quick, which it drives me nuts because I love that deer hunt, man.
Yeah.
You know, but I can get a hunter killed and have some time to do it. I do worry this year with it being so dry how long those deer are going to stay out in above timberline.
For sure.
I think they will stay out for a while, but I feel like it could be one of those years when they shed their velvet, they may not go back up. But who knows?
Yeah, we've had a couple of really dry years where some of those bucks that really do spend a lot of the time in that really short grass upper country they'll leave. There'll be no feed left, you know. But fortunately, lots of this country is very wet, so we'll see.
And who knows what the monsoons bring. It's the first week in July, and hopefully we got a lot coming in the next month and a half, you know.
Yeah.
So
If
hopefully not while I'm out there hunting in September, but, you know.
Yeah.
All righty, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, man.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
Hunter.
man.
Yeah.
You guys can pick up these Riven Calls at Gene Taylor's if you want to start annoying your wife and stop listening to music and do it in your truck. go get some there at Gene Taylor's. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.